Well, this is Skeletor, also known as Alan Oppenheimer, and I'm telling you to listen to Don't Feed the Geeks.
Hello and welcome to Don't Feed the Geeks, presented by the Long Island Comic Guys, the masters of the geeky-verse.
That's growing on me. I'm liking that. It's growing on me.
We want to thank Mr. Alan Oppenheimer, who I had the pleasure of meeting at Garden State Comic Fest. Awesome show, by the way, for doing that promo for us. He's a big childhood hero of mine. Not really a hero, he was a villain, but his voice is so iconic, and I had to fly out there as soon as I heard that he was going to be there.
I bet you looked probably like a little schoolgirl.
You know what? He actually was telling me these a few awesome stories. He was telling us that, like, because we got into those messages at the end of the episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like people think they're cheesy now, but every story had like a moral. And he's like, you'd be surprised, but like, I've had like a handful of people come up to me and tell me those stories saved my life. I was like, really? And he was like,
Wow.
Getting a little bit emotional about it.
I've heard the same thing.
And I was like, I believe you 100%. I think they're great. I think they should keep doing them now.
How old is he?
89, I think.
G.I. Joe was big on
Or
those.
83.
Those
G.I. Joe did the same thing. I think Transformers did it as well.
Yeah.
But it was just cool. It was really, I said at one point, I was like, there you go.
There we go.
That's a Coca-Cola, not a beer.
Don't drink, kids.
Yeah. But yeah, he was really cool to meet. I was like, it must be weird to have so many 30-year-old plus men come up to you and be so excited.
You said that to him? That's amazing.
But yeah, it was cool.
So you got to talk to him for a good amount?
Yeah, I got to talk to him for about like 15 minutes. I was the first person that I was waiting for him. I was like, this is the only reason I came. And then, I hung out with some other people. I spent a lot of time with Chris Campana, our boy.
Very cool.
So what are we going to get into today? So we have we have our interview, with Steve Borock later on.
Yeah.
First we're going to kick off with some current news with Mr. Toy Story here. He's on the geek beat.
It's growing on me too.
Yeah. I think it's right. He didn't know what a beat was. And
Literally no idea.
I was like, we're going to call this geek beat. He's like, what's that?
I wasn't going to BS my way through that.
Your youth is showing.
Yeah.
And then we'll jump into our interview with Steve and then close it out with some Spider-Man Far From Home reviews, Stranger Things, Jessica Jones from the Dungeon Master. I didn't watch that nonsense. So I'll be jumping in, though, on Swamp Thing episode 5 and 6. It's been so good. I hate them for canceling it. And then we'll go into some announcements.
For those of you that don't know, though, Steve Borock is the founder and head grader at CBCS Comics.
And you will hear it a lot.
Very exciting interview. So be prepared.
And we also have a special opportunity for a giveaway in this episode. So make sure you listen to the whole episode. And we'll give you the details also at the end of how to, get in and apply for the chance to win 2 free modern books.
I actually forgot about that. That's very exciting.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, that's a good thing I do know.
He took notes. Nice. All right.
Kick
it off.
Story. Let's go.
We're going to get started with Tessa's favorite comic book series, The Walking Dead.
Don't read it.
Finally over.
Don't
Surprise ending with issue 193 last week. So this was really interesting because they actually solicited 194 and 195, but they turned out to be fake.
And a lot of people were pissed because they started getting their cancellation notices that
language,
the other
Jim.
Oh, no.
So
is that a bad word?
No,
all right, we're not going to get into that debate today.
I don't know why that whole thing from Captain America has just been going in my house
Language.
all day today.
So I read a good amount of Walking Dead. I read up to All Out War, which I think was in the 120-ish.
Oh, again, what we forgot to do. TC here.
JJ, Toy Story, and Dungeon Master.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Now that we got the intros done.
The bonus Jonas isn't here, so
he's got a gig tonight.
He's the most important Walking Dead fan, or biggest Walking Dead.
I did read
fan.
a lot. I read in college. I read the first 2 compendiums, which is like 100 issues in about a week.
That was like last year.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 months ago.
JJ, I've read my fair share in the very beginning.
It was very good. I dropped off during All Out War, which I thought was lackluster, which was in the 120s, and now they're up to 190.
Yeah.
So. But I did see the issue, and I read Kirkman did like a little blurb, like a blurb on the last couple pages.
It was a lot. He
Yeah,
wrote
he was
he wrote a
explaining it.
lot to the ending of
Yeah,
that.
so he said the reason he did it this way is
almost killed
because
that guy.
you did. I'll save that story for later. He said the reason he did it was because he's always hated like knowing when the end of something is coming, like the end of a TV show. You know, it's the last episode.
I read that, yeah.
So he wanted to surprise people just as much as he said hit the deaths in the book surprise them, and he thought the best way to do that was to, you know, the only way to get them to not see it coming.
Right?
Yeah.
Literally
And
cut
what,
the head
and
off.
what issue was it? 193.
193, and as a result of this, stores clearly did not order enough copies because they didn't know it was going to be the ending. So
Absolutely.
very scarce, I think.
Yeah, I know Midtown had a 1 per person.
Yeah.
I ended up scoring 2.
Yeah, because they had no idea.
Yeah, and
Crazy.
There was a sign on my comic shop right on the door before you walked in. Do not have any more 193s.
and it was a double issue, I think. Or
Yeah, it was same price.
Triple
$3.
issue.
I actually emailed Royal the morning of, and they're like, "Yeah, I got one for you."
That's
So,
funny.
Love them. Thank you guys.
But it ended okay, I guess. It
saw
was
the
more
line.
of a time jump than anything.
Yeah, so I don't care if spoiling.
No,
for people
yeah,
at this point.
you can spoil it.
So 192, Rick Grimes dies.
Right.
193 takes place, I think, 10 years
Mhm.
later.
Yep.
So Carl has a kid with.
He's married.
He's married to Carol's
Yeah,
daughter,
yeah,
I think.
yep.
And he has a kid. So whatever. And I'm sorry if I get this wrong, but the last issue is him sitting in a rocking chair with the baby
Mm-hmm.
and telling the story of his dad to
Right.
the baby. And Kirkman said that he's had that page drawn out for the last 50 issues.
And Michonne is a judge.
Yes, she is. It's weird.
The whole thing's weird.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a society where like killing zombies is now illegal. You can't do that,
Yeah,
and it's
right.
like kind of building back into civilization,
Ugh.
which is interesting.
Wow.
but-
Millennials.
Whoa.
You can't even kill zombies anymore?
Oh, I was about to be like, what
Done.
millennial joke could you possibly make with that?
Jesus.
All right,
All right, so yeah,
That's about
it's
it.
over. That's it. Show is still going on.
It isn't the,
The
last
Walking Dead
cancellation,
is
right?
now dead.
yeah. If you like zombies, I do recommend it. If you haven't read it, don't like zombies.
So what do we think Kurtman's going to do next?
He's got a bunch of image series right now, I think, and I'm sure he's got stuff in the pipeline. And I'm sure this frees up a lot of time for him to work on other stuff.
We can imagine he's probably already started working on something for a while, knowing that,
I'm sure he has story treatments for other series that he
Right.
wants to do. Do you want to tell the story of when you almost killed him?
I think I've told it already, but we were walking through New York Comic Con, and like always, it was jam packed. So some guy like bumped into me, and I was like, "Dude, what the hell?" And he looked up and was like, "Ooh, sorry." And I was like, "Oh, that's Robert Kirkman." He goes, "Hey."
Just walked away, right? Amazing.
All right.
That's funny.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, so I guess the next point of here is Mad Magazine is being canceled.
No.
I've never read Mad
It's-
Magazine. I just remember the covers. of the
Yeah, I mean,
issues.
I grew up with it. It's been going on for 67 years. I think it was 1952 when it 1st came out. And they sold off to DC, I'm going to say a few years ago. DC bought them.
Mhm.
So it's been under the DC name.
So they're ending in the fall.
So they're ending in the fall.
Yeah, but they're still going to keep
That's
printing
sad.
issues. They're just going to be reprints.
Right.
Yeah.
So
It's sad, Bruce, but when was the last time you bought it?
This is true.
Yeah.
yeah, well, I haven't bought it in quite a few.
I don't think anybody.
I
People just
have-
remember it from
I
back
have
in the day.
thumbed through it at Midtown Comics every so often. I'll just pick it up because obviously the covers are pretty funny at
Funny, yeah.
times.
Yeah.
So I've done.
Just never
I've-
appealed to me, that style.
yeah.
No, it's,
Do you know what got me? What I really loved about Mad Magazine? There was two things. First, I loved the trifold in the back. I mean, making
yeah,
those
we were
pictures,
talking about that. The other
that
day.
was fantastic. But also, what I really loved about the magazine was around the edges of each page was usually this tiny little sketch done,
Yeah.
and they were just funny to me. They were tiny, yet really really small, and they
Yeah.
were those were funny to me.
Usually had nothing to do with the story on the
Nothing.
page.
I was just about to ask.
It was,
They were
it was just
random.
They
yeah,
were
it was
random.
just little cartoon.
And they were different. They were
So for people that never read it or heard of it, what can you like give it like a description of like what Mad Magazine was, like what kind of
it was more
stories they ran?
satire of whatever was going on in the news.
Was it comic books? Like comics?
No, it was more of like
and anything.
It was,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was-
they made fun of anything. It was more of
Yeah.
making fun
And
of
what though? Like
I-
articles and writing and like
news,
images.
Movies. I mean, I remember the
Yeah.
Star Wars episode
Yeah.
where
I think
it was
to-
the Star Wars movie, but it was a mad type where it was stupid satire.
Yeah. To
type of-
answer TC's question, I think the last one I actually bought was the issue with Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
I
mean,
mean,
like,
so we're going
from the
back a
80s?
really long time. Yeah, when Return of the Jedi was in the movie theaters.
I mean, the one I maybe had two in my life. They were from either the 80s or early 90s.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, look at Spy vs. Spy. If you ever, that came from
Mad
Mad
TV.
Magazine.
Yeah, I don't know if you know Mad TV.
Yeah.
I used to love
that
Mad
was
TV,
based
actually.
on that.
Yeah,
That
no.
was based on Mad Magazine. Yeah.
Do you remember
Spy vs. Spy. I mean, there was video games on Spy vs. Spy. I mean, they made video games of that of those two characters. And you've got some pretty big, artists that came out of that. I mean, Sergio, man, I lost the train of thought. Oh man. Anyway,
right.
the art. I liked the art was. I liked the art. Some of the art was pretty good.
Spy vs. Spy inspired my own comic book back in high school. You read it, Bruce versus Stu.
Oh, I do remember that.
Yep.
You did a comic.
Yeah.
Really? I do remember that.
We used to
That should have been part of your
hand
origin
it
story
off.
episode.
Like every week, I would get the book and I would add like 10 pages.
Oh, I remember
And then
that.
I'd hand it to Stu, and he would add like 50 pages, and then it would just go back and forth, and it was
that's kinda
awesome.
cool.
It was 3 100-page 3-ring binders.
Do you still have them?
No,
Uh,
they are lost
to time.
Oh, I do remember
the-
that.
to the heavens. Yeah,
Heavens.
it was
Wow.
funny. It was like we went through everything that we could possibly do.
But on the end, it's over. So
Yeah.
From my understanding, they're going to
done.
publish original content once a year for a special at the end
that'd
of the
be
year.
nice.
Oh, like an
that's
annual?
it, though. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
Maybe it's
Yeah,
not
it's just-
gone for good.
Yeah, it's just a hard thing to keep up with.
Yeah,
I
especially if
think.
you've been with it
A
for
year
years.
in
though.
review. A year in review.
Yeah, probably. All right, Tess. I'm sorry, TC. You want to talk about your boy Jason Fabok?
Do we want to get into this?
For those of you who don't follow us on social media, I got an email from I don't remember what company he's represented from, but an art company that represents Jason Fabok.
Yeah, I'm on that email chain too. I don't know why.
Yeah. So it came out with, and I don't even remember what the show was. Was it Toronto Fan
Toronto
Expo?
Fan Expo.
He had a pre-commission list. And Matt, why don't you rail off
Yeah.
what the different prices were for the different
All right.
categories?
So to be clear, this is the first time that he's letting you choose the character and level of detail he does.
Mhm.
Usually he does them beforehand. You buy pick them up there.
How gracious of him.
Gracious. Payment is due 10% down and 90% at the show for anybody interested. Pricing is below. A full figure, no background, 11 by 17, $3,000. An 11 by 17 cover quality, whatever that means, with background is $5,000. A bust with no background is $1,100, and an 8.5 by 11 headshot, no background, is $650. And you can add a plain color backdrop for just $150 extra.
Wow.
Now,
What
I
a steal.
wish you folks could actually have a video for you, because the expression on TC's face right now and JJ's face is like,
Listen, the issue is that, first of all, I barely know who Jason Fabok is. I know he's done a couple books.
He does like Justice
I
League
know
stuff.
He
I
does a
think.
few covers. It's like, and like I've seen some of these that he's been doing. They're good, but they're like
They're not memorable.
They're not this price good. I was like, I got stuff from Scott Williams, at the Suffolk County Comic Expo, the Suffolk County Comic and Art Expo, for nowhere near that price.
And to be clear, there were only 12 spots for this, and all 12 sold out.
Yeah,
Of course they did.
Some guy messaged me when I posted it because I was upset about it. Like, listen, it's just the thing that upsets me, and he didn't say who it was, but our friend Ken Lashley, put something out saying like, some people are in it for the money, some people enjoy fans because I'm kind of more here for fans. And listen, the problem is these guys are trying to live up. They're rock stars now. Literally, the comic books and this art is so popular that if you become any decent sized name or big name, you're basically like a rock star. Like again, not billionaire, but I mean, think about how much money Jim Lee's pulling in. How much money is J. Scott Campbell pulling in? Greg Capullo.
Yep.
Alex Ross.
Alex Ross. So I mean, Alex Ross is a whole.
He
nother
deserves
level, though. But I mean, these aren't even paintings. These are pencils and
Yeah.
inks. And he's asking us ridiculous money. I think the problem is like, could I afford one of these? Maybe. I was like, would I get divorced over it? Probably. It was like $5,000 for a piece of artwork from a commission. It's not even like published art. That's almost like some lower level cover, like released cover prices. Our buddy Jeff Bondock got a cover for what the price of
A published New 52 Justice League issue.
Less than the price of a headshot that he's offering for.
Yep.
He's making these prices. He's garnering comics to an elite class, and it's not right.
But you know it doesn't help the people that pay for it.
And
I get if you have money, spend it on what you want, but you're not helping.
But they're getting it from the wrong person too.
Exactly.
I mean, this guy should not be getting.
I don't think he's on the level
it's excessive
of popularity. And listen, I'm not going to say he's not on the level of talent. Maybe he is. It's just, again, like you said, it's not overly memorable. They're good. They're very good. He's very talented. And if he was charging that high end, if he was charging $650 for a full figure, right away I would say that's fine. I would do it. I think that's excessive, and that's the word that you used.
Yeah.
I'm glad I remembered it. It's excessive, and it upsets me. I don't like when people do that. I feel like they're taking advantage of people, and there's people who don't care. They just want it, like, because people, like, especially even when I got right into it, those are the people they're getting. Like, you get into it right away, and it's like, I have to have this guy Jason Fabek because I want a specific character, and I want it to be this, and I'm going to pay whatever it is. And he's taking advantage of those people.
Yeah.
And I mean, listen, like, there's plenty of people that go, oh, well, if you can do it and people will pay, why wouldn't you do it? I was like, because it's just not right.
Yeah.
It's not the right thing. There's a lot of things you can do and people will do it.
There's a difference between making a living off of this thing and price gouging.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
And it's
you
nice
can do it, like, ethically.
And it's nice, though, to hear other artists
coming out against it.
Lashley,
who
spoke up and said, this is wrong. This is something that, it shouldn't be done this way.
Yeah.
I mean, Lashley's, his stuff is 10 times, 20 times better than this guy's stuff. I've seen Jason's stuff, and I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would spend the $650 on it.
And we have commissions from Ken.
Yeah.
Because we can afford them because they're affordable.
Absolutely.
And it's not only that, at this point, too, like, a lot of stuff I'm getting from, it doesn't even matter how good you are. Like, in the beginning, like, honestly, like, I was new to this. I wanted all the big names, and, I was paying, on the higher ends. Like, now, like, regardless of when you're a big name or not, I go to you if I like you.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of talk to them a little bit. If I don't get a good vibe from them, my wallet goes back in my pocket.
Yep.
So, I mean...
Rob Liefeld, what?
I'm never getting anything from him. I don't even... we told you, we're not even naming him. I don't even want to give him any
I want to get
credit.
him on this show.
We can either call him He Who Shall Not Be Named or Voldemort. That is how we're going to describe the creator of Deadpool.
Gotcha.
All right, but I can go on a rant like this forever, so let's just move on to the next point of news here.
Yeah, so we got a new Image series coming out soon from Scott Snyder, Charles Soule, and Giuseppe Camuncoli.
I mentioned this a couple months ago, but nobody remembers.
I don't remember you
I
mentioning
don't remember at all.
At the time, I don't think Soule was mentioned.
He was not?
No, it wasn't. It was just Frank Avelli.
So there's no title yet, but everything's going to be revealed at San Diego in a couple weeks.
Yep.
So,
and this looks exciting. I mean, right off the bat.
I mean, Scott's done some stuff for Image before, and it's been great. Have you read Witches?
Yes, I read Witches. I don't think it was very good.
I don't remember. I remember starting it. I never finished it.
It was very weird. It almost... I don't even know how to describe it. It did have kind of like... I don't read The Walking Dead, but it probably had a vibe similar to that.
Gotcha.
So give you a little heads up on this. So this new series, it's so what they're saying about it, 30 years ago, the United States sealed itself off from the rest of the world without warning. Now the gates have been finally opened, and an expedition has been launched to see what lies beyond.
It sounds really interesting.
So just that alone, it perked my interest.
Listen, Snyder's been, I feel like, hit or miss for a lot of us over the last couple things he's done, but
Agreed.
He's written great stuff.
Yeah.
No, he's very talented.
I'm willing to give him a chance.
And seeing that this is going to Image, I'm
a lot more freedom to do what
I'm excited to see this. I'm excited to see what comes out of this.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yep. All right, next, do you want to talk about The Witcher?
I guess I have
no idea.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people don't know about this. So The Witcher, so the movie was announced. I'm sorry, not a movie, but it was a Netflix show. Series with Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill.
I got you.
Superman. Don't you get Superman's name wrong, Jim.
Sorry. So I read this series. It was a Dark Horse comic a couple years ago.
I feel like most people know it as a video game.
The
Witcher 3. It's one.
Yeah,
so.
I played the video game on the PS4 and 3.
It's one of the most popular games of the last couple of years.
But there was quite a few different comic book.
Yeah,
series
I think it's based on that game though. Witcher 3 specifically.
The show.
The game.
Game.
Thought.
I'm drawing a blank now.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know.
I enjoyed reading the comic book. I know there was quite a few different ones out there.
Did you play the game?
I played the game. I like the game. Any of those type of role playing type of games I like, hack and slash. But I'm excited for this Netflix series because they started showing some of the screenshots, and he looks pretty good.
He does, yeah.
Looks pretty dead on from the comic book.
Guess we see what he's doing now that he's not Superman.
I know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
You know? So we'll see what comes of this.
Yeah.
Looks good.
All right, that's about it, right? Anybody else have anything to add on current stuff?
Nope, I got nothing more to add.
I can add one more thing, but I don't know if we want to get into this. I know TC and I talked about this. I'm not sure if we want to bring it up, but we can bring it
you
up.
mentioned it now.
I know.
Well, you said it.
No, you got it.
Well,
I don't remember what it was.
We talked briefly about the. We could probably even do this another time, but.
Well, just tell us what it is. Do you remember?
You can mention it.
Yeah, I do remember. So a lot of these new books coming out, a lot of these newer books, like
New series?
they're commanding more money, modern books, on eBay than a lot of the older books that you can find too. So one of them is one of the case in points that I found on eBay, and I had this thing up and running, but. What's this series? This
Is it independent?
Niobe.
Oh, Naomi. Yeah,
Naomi.
I remember what you're saying now. Because you were saying like Naomi's like a 9/8's going for like what, $600?
So $600, or
Yeah.
9/8 graded is going for $600, and people
Is
are
it Image?
buying them.
This is sold.
This is sold DC. It's DC.
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 What?
Naomi. It's her first appearance.
It's basically Bendis' daughter.
Right. But
That's fine.
for $500, you can still buy a Fantastic 448
Yeah.
for $500
Yeah.
raw.
Yeah. It's
So what would you rather have? I mean,
Listen, I think we talked about this with Alan a little bit last time, but like,
What
Whether-
is this, like a limited production run
No.
or something?
yeah, it's about whether or not these modern books, have the longevity of the older books.
Yeah, which I lean towards the no
Yeah, me
on
too.
those. I mean,
Unless
there's some.
unless it's like Walking Dead with very low print runs, because
But even with that though, like wasn't it up to $2,000 at
That was
one
the
point?
max.
And now
It's
like,
it's
now
dropping
down like to 1,200.
1,200.
I'm sure
Yeah.
it's going to see a bump now that it's over again.
Mhm.
I can see it getting up.
Do you
to,
think
like,
so?
the
I
15.
think people are going to offload everything now, and I've seen people offloading these things.
They are going to offload them because people are going to be buying it.
Mhm.
That's why I think you're going to see it.
But I don't think you're going to still see that $2,000.
No, I think you'd see as far as like 1,500, maybe 1,600 range.
Right. But the reason the old books are so collectible is because they were limited, because
Mhm.
nobody knew they were going to be popular,
People didn't
and
keep them.
because people didn't keep them, and people didn't keep them in good shape.
Yeah,
Modern books, you buy it, some people don't even read it. It goes right in a bag and board in their
that's
closet.
true.
And they're commanding $500-$600.
So I was thinking
When there's probably 1,000 9/8s out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it. The stuff now, like after obviously we spoke about different stuff. Well, this is kind of ruin it if I bring up pedigrees now.
It's all right, go ahead. It's fine.
But it's like if we keep this stuff for like 40 years, even though it's bag and board, it's going to be in great conditions. Like, would it ever be considered a pedigree? Because most of this stuff, I'm the first owner.
Right.
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
No, though, because everybody keeps them in these shapes.
Yep.
you know? Like the thing that made them
but that's what I'm
pedigrees back
saying.
then
40 or
is
50
that,
years is like how many people still have them?
I
Like,
guess.
you think there's going to be a ton of people 50 years from now holding on to these modern books? I don't think so.
Oh, I think so.
They'll be in closets the same way the
Yeah.
silver books were, but they'll all be in bags and boards.
more,
9/8s.
more so than like in the 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
But I don't think it'll be like a ton.
I just don't know if they have actual value like that.
I mean, the world's probably not going to be here in 30, 50 years.
There you
Yeah, so moot point.
Anyway, that's what that was been on my mind.
Shall we move on?
All right, so
Yes.
Next, our interview with Steve Borock.
All right, today, very special guest, founder, president, head grader, and finalizer at CBCS Comics, Steve Borock. Steve, how are you?
I'm very good. How are you guys?
Awesome.
Doing great.
Doing good,
Doing
sir.
well
Welcome.
tonight.
So, Steve, how we
Good.
like
Well,
to...
thanks for having me on. I appreciate
Sorry.
it.
Absolutely.
Got to remember that delay.
Yeah, I'm so bad at that. Thanks again, Steve, for joining us. And I just want to let you know
No problem.
how we normally start these is we kind of go into our guest's origin story, kind of like, what got you into like this culture or, comic book specifically, whatever it might be as a kid. And, just go from there. So what's your
Sure.
comic book origin story?
Oh, wow. My origin. I was bitten by this radioactive spider.
You're the second person who's done that, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm really original.
Yeah.
Great.
Chris
Wonderful.
Campana did that last episode.
But so cool. But really, I got comic books brought home to me before I could read. My dad wanted to be a cartoonist when he was younger. Never got a chance. His father got sick, had to take over the family business. But I used to, I'd wake up on my birthday and there's all these big drawings of cartoon characters around. Batman, Dick Tracy, the Phantom, Superman, Wonder Woman. It was really neat. And I'd look at comic books and, love the pictures, just like any other kid who couldn't read. And I wasn't the greatest student at school, and comic books really helped me get more of a vocabulary, learn how to read. It was kind of funny. Looking back at it, I guess, because of like the ultimate nullifier, I knew the words ultimate and nullify before my friends did. Even though I wasn't paying attention in class as well as I should have.
That's pretty funny. That's awesome how that works out sometimes.
Oh yeah, comic books are great for kids to read. I don't think when Stan was, especially Stan, when he and Jack were writing, or he and Steve Ditko or whatever were writing, that he thought about the vocabulary he was using sometimes. That it was, kind of foreign to little kids.
Right.
Comic books before that were really, really dumbed down and written for little kids, except classic comics, basically.
Right.
Classic Illustrated. But, so I got into that. I became a fanatic reader, wanted to buy more comic books, but of course couldn't afford them, and wanted to buy back issues. And, I'd be lucky at times to find them at, garage sales, flea markets, things like that. But when I was a kid, I saw that there was this comic book marketplace, Phil Souling's in New York. And in the 70s, I set up at a show with Ricky Feldman. I couldn't afford a full table. I think back then, the tables were like $20 or something. And I, was selling, really low-end stuff. But it was great because then I could go buy a VG copy, because it wasn't worth a whole lot back in the 70s, of like, say, Tales of Suspense 57. Right, so I could read the origin and first appearance of Hawkeye, that kind of thing, and it was really cool. I'd make say $30 that day, which is a lot of money back then, and I'd pocket like $15, $20, and then spend $10, $15 on comic books. And my dad thought that was really cool because he could work at his office in Manhattan, dropped me off for the day, and knew I was safe and sound. I mean, it was the 70s in New York, so it was still kind of bizarre. My dad would just drop me off somewhere in Manhattan. But, and it was really different. Heck, people were smoking cigarettes there, and so you could see guys with cigarettes in their lips dangling over a box of books that had no bags. It was really, really cool, and just became a larger and larger collector. I got to know a lot of the dealers, became friends with certain people, and then when I was earning money in my 20s, I started buying very big books. I've owned 2 Action Ones, and it snowballed into this gigantic, wonderful life in this hobby. I was collecting for years, selling comic books here and there. If you look at one of the old, some of the old comic book marketplaces, one of the old price guides, you'll see something that says, "We pay the dealers top dollar for your comic books. For comic books, why wouldn't we pay you the same? We're a group of friends that want to buy books," and we put prices that were crazy out there. At the time, we'd put Action One, $100,000. More than the dealers were paying. And actually, some of my friends that were dealers were very unhappy that we took the ad.
Wow.
But I studied comic books like crazy. I owned a lot of the pedigrees, Edgar Church Mile Highs, Tom Riley, San Francisco's, and just one of the best. Ended up spending, at one point, the highest price cash not trade and stuff like that. For a comic book, I bought the Edgar Church More Fun 52, the first Spectre, for $115,000.
Oh my God!
I was on the way back on the plane, and I was like, "This house or a comic book? I'm crazy."
Wow.
I knew like I was stuck in this hobby forever.
Wow.
Got asked to grade comic books for Christie's and Sotheby's when they were running auctions, because people knew me and they thought I could grade properly and I could detect restoration, and became very, very good friends with people like that, like Jerry Wiest, who's no longer with us. A huge part of our hobby. He started the fanzine Squatron back in the day and things like that. And but then I was out of work for a year, so I was selling a lot of comic books. And then they were creating CGC, our competitor. And because they went to the top sellers and top collectors and asked who they trusted and who can grade and who can detect restoration. And I guess my name was kind of at the top of the list. Met with them. Thought it was crazy. I said, "You're going to put comic books in plastic?" It was really bizarre, really foreign to me. But my friends were getting ripped off like crazy on eBay. It was, as I always say, it was the Wild West back then. You'd say, near mint, and you get it, and there's a page missing. Or, it's a fine. The scans were lousy back then. The return policies were even lousier back then. And they explained to me how it was in coins and cards and how there's no haggling over the grade, maybe over price.
Yeah.
But, and it's the good housekeeping seal of approval if done legitimately.
Right.
Right. If the pages are counted, there's a real restoration check. There's real grading standards. I mean, not that grading is a science. You can't say there's a 2-inch crease, it's this grade, because the look of the book is very important to us, right? So if there's a 2-inch crease that doesn't break color on the back cover, and there's a 2-inch crease on the front cover that breaks color, we'd all pick the one with the crease in the back cover. And so that can determine price. And so there's a little bit of artistic, an artistic eye when you're grading, besides just the standards set by Bob Overstreet and by us when we were setting up our competitor. And it was a really cool learning experience. We went to the top dealers and the top collectors and asked them to grade a stack of books. And they did. And we threw out the very highs and the very lows and used the mediums. And that's how we set the grading standards, by using, Overstreet and the collecting community.
Wow. You jumped really forward ahead, Steve. We weren't even getting to your professional experience yet. We're starting. No, it's good. One question we did want to ask, since you kind of brought up some of the books that you had, what's your most, even if it's not the most expensive book, what's like the most prized item in your personal collection? It might not even be a book.
Oh, wow. I have so many cool things. I mean, if it's not only comic book related, the artist Tim Truman does Scout, did Hawk World, bunch of things. He also does the illustrated lyrics for my favorite band, the Grateful Dead, and I collect the artwork from that.
Oh, wow.
And he actually drew my daughter into one.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm actually looking at it right now. It's really cool.
That's cool.
And it's a song I used to sing to her when she was a baby, so it means a lot to me. If it's only comic book related, then I'd say I have this cover Tony Harris did for Starman #7. It's when he was still doing mixed media. that great '90s series,
I
Starman.
love
It was
that
one of my favorite
series.
series, and I own the cover for that. Wow. And I mean, I own some Jack Kirby art. I own others, but I love looking at that piece. I just love it. Yeah, you know, I see it every day.
Do you still have that first Spectre
since
book?
'94, and I'm still not sick of it.
Do you still have that Spectre book?
No, I sold that when I bought. I co-bought the Flash Comics #1 church copy with a friend of mine. So I used that money to buy the Flash #1.
Wow.
No, I don't still have it. I don't collect comic books anymore. I collect comic book art.
Okay.
I wanted everybody to know that I was impartial and third party. That, you know, just because I owned a copy of, let's say, Action 252, and it was a 9.4, that if they said a 9.6, I didn't want them to worry that I wouldn't give it a 9.6 or a 9.4.
That makes a lot of sense.
Interesting.
So do you still own
I gave up
comics?
comic collecting.
Do you still own comics,
No,
or did
I
you just?
Completely.
No, I just read them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I still love reading them. I read trades mostly because I travel so much.
Mm-hmm.
I really still have the bug for comic books, but not in the same way as I did as a kid. I mean, you know, back then it was all superheroes. I mean, don't get me wrong, right now I'm in the middle of the Mr. Miracle trade. It's really cool, the Tom King one.
Oh, that was a
But I'm
cool
also
series.
reading Ed Brubaker's Killer Be Killed. So, you know, my tastes in comics have changed over the years, for sure.
If you haven't heard yet, Brubaker and Phillips did they got a new run of Criminal going at Image Comics. And
Really?
There was a 2-parter that they're going to release as a hardcover that takes place at a comic convention in the 90s. It is fantastic.
That's awesome.
Oh, that sounds so cool.
It's called, I think it's called Bad Weekend. Keep your eyes open for it.
Oh yeah, I mean, everything comes across my desk at some point, and I go, "Ooh, I don't know this. Let me check it out." It's really great.
So you read a lot of
really
current
have the greatest job in the world. Yeah, but I'm really like 6 to 12 months behind.
Just like the rest of us.
Because
I was just telling the guys
really
that
bad. I think I'm 3 trades behind on The Walking Dead right now, and I'm kind of bummed.
Ooh.
Because the newest issue just hit my desk, you know, a million times, so I got to spoil it. That's all right. You know, it goes with the territory for me. I've gotten used to it.
That was a heck of an issue.
That's what I hear. I have not been tempted to read one of the ones I'm grading yet. I'm gonna stick out those and wait for, you know, read the three trades I'm behind on and wait for the trade with that one. That's all.
Nice. So, Steve, if you never got into grading comics, is there anything that you think that you would have done instead?
Yeah, I'd probably be a used car salesman or something. I mean, I was in the music business for a while. I really enjoyed working with bands and stuff, but it's a really, really shady business.
What'd you do, if you don't mind me asking?
So I was producing bands and stuff and helping manage a band, and we had a record label and it went belly up. I lost about $250,000. That's where part of my collection went.
Oh, man.
So maybe I'd love to be in the music business somehow, or I might just be buying and selling comic books.
Yeah.
If I wasn't grading, I just can't get enough of it. I always kid people that I'm going to die on the convention floor, and people are going to be taking out their phones. You know, instead of calling 911, they're going to be videotaping me dying. You know, so they can show it on YouTube. You know, but I really do believe that I will die on the convention floor.
Hopefully not too soon.
Your mouth to God, Jesus.
So Steve, can you take us through the process of grading a comic,
Like from beginning to end?
beginning to end?
Okay. Do you want me to start with the technical stuff, or do you want me to just go with how we grade and things like that?
Whatever you prefer, but a little of both, maybe.
What you think would be most interesting and kind of educational to people, I guess?
Okay. People either bring in the comic books or they ship them in the mail. If they get shipped in the mail, the shipping department opens up the box, makes sure that the comic books that are in the box are secure and not damaged. Otherwise, they take a picture. Or if the box looks damaged before we even open it, we take a picture. Because we don't want to get blamed for something that the post office or FedEx did, or bad packing on somebody's part. We have people who send us books raw. No bags, no boards. It's the strangest thing I've ever seen in my life. Excuse me. So after it's checked in, it's made correct that, these 28 books are here, and they go to receiving, who enters them into a screen, because everything's on computer these days, of course, right?
Right.
And so it can be tracked all the way from beginning to end. What they do, though, is they also, on the bag, is they put a sticker, and it has a barcode, and it has a number, and the name of the comic and the issue of the comic. This way, it can be done blind. So I don't know which of you guys are sending in the book, right?
Right.
So when it hits, then it goes to a pre-grader. I'm sorry, it doesn't always go to a pre-grader. Sometimes it goes to somebody who does information input. So I don't know the new issue of, Spider-Gwen or whatever it is, right? So if there's like 7 variants, I wouldn't know that when grading. So we need to put that on the label.
Mm-hmm.
So that information gets inputted. Artist, writer, key comments, variant, make sure the spelling is right of the title, make sure the issue number and the year is correct, everything that you see on our label. At that point, it goes to a pre-grader who counts the pages, make sure the pages are all there, make sure there's no writing on the pages, no tape, anything you could think of, tears. If they find anything, it's noted into the computer. And they do a pre-grade. They list the defects and they give a grade. Sometimes they'll go to a secondary grader, depending on the value of the book. And they'll do the same thing. They'll be able to see the grader's notes, but they won't be able to see the grader's grade. And then they pick a grade. Then it comes to a finalizer, like myself, and I give the book a quick look through the pages, but basically just for restoration check, to make sure that there's no the staples haven't been replaced, that there's no glue at the centerfold or on the third wrap or whatever, and do a restoration check on the cover where there's normally color touch or glue, things like that.
Quick question, notes. Steve. What's the most common restoration that you tend to see?
Oh, color touch.
Color touch,
especially in black areas of.
Is it usually just with like a Sharpie or something?
Actually, sometimes it'll be professional. It'll be acrylic, and it'll look really good where nobody could tell. Sometimes it'll be really bad marker or pen, where you could tell, pretty easily that something's wrong with the book. But
how do you know when it's acrylic? How do you know when
you could tell the difference. It's really different. It's shiny. It's hard. It doesn't bleed through. There's a bunch of ways. I mean, learning restoration is kind of like learning pressing. People think that if you press a book, it's going to magically make it a better grade. That's not true. I've seen it damaged more times than I've seen it helped. People just get a press and they just press it and they don't know what they're doing, and there's pebbling on the cover, or they melt the gloss, or they the gloss is now like super shiny, looks like glass, or they weld the pages together with the newer books, or the tattoo in Spidey 238.
Yeah,
I've seen that happen before.
It all of a sudden it's wielded to the interior cover. Horrible. But to go back to restoration, it just takes years of getting ripped off too. At the beginning, I had no clue what I was doing, and I bought a bunch of restored books I didn't know were restored by dealers that weren't reputable. And that's the other great thing about certification is that we do that, and the difference these days between a restored book and an unrestored book is what, 10 times?
yeah.
So, you see Fantastic Four number 52, that black cover, the first Black Panther, all the time with color touch, because people want to make it look really sweet and sell it for a lot of money.
And those black covers are tough.
Yeah. It's a shame. You don't need to color touch a book. And some people like restored books, and that's great. But when you're restoring a book so you can get over on somebody, that's horrible.
Yeah, that's messed up.
It's really crappy. So after I did the restoration check, I checked my grader's notes and see if there's anything I think they left out that should be there. Because we give away our grader's notes for free. You shouldn't ever have to pay for grader's notes or join somewhere.
We would tend to agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I went to, get my car fixed, and the guy says, "Hey, your car's running great. Give me $1,000." I said, "Oh, what'd you do?" And he says, "Oh, you got to pay me more to tell you." Right. So I always believe that the grader's notes should be free.
Absolutely.
And so we have a QR on the back of our label that you just hold your phone up to, and boom, it'll pull up the grader's notes when you're buying the book. Or if you get your book in and you don't understand how we graded it, boom, there it is.
Yeah.
It's right at your fingertips.
Very cool.
That's an awesome service.
So then at that point, I pick the page quality that I either agree or disagree with my pre-graders with, look at their grades after I pick my grade. And if for some reason we're far off, I'll bring it to Wes Steffen, my senior grader, and I'll ask him to give me a grade and see if I'm missing something, or maybe I'm being too lenient. You want to give it the best grade possible without being wrong. Because everybody wants their books to be the best, right? So if a book is a 9.7, which doesn't exist, right? We call it, in the grading room, we call it a 9.7. It's basically a 9.6 that looks like a 9.8. But it is better than a 9.6. So then we say, what's going to look like in the holder, right? And if it's going to look like a 9.8 in the holder, it's 9.8. If it's going to look like a 9.6, it's a 9.6. Done.
That's pretty cool.
But so we want to try to be as consistent and as accurate as possible. So, but if let's say one grader picks 6.5 and another grader picks 6.0, and I'm at 6.5, boom, it goes out as a 6.5.
Right.
It's pretty simple.
So are you the only finalizer, or are there a couple of you?
No, there's also we have a modern finalizer, Daniel Erdl, great guy. Trained with me for years, and Wes Steffen, who I mentioned earlier, fantastic. Worked with me at our competitor for years. He's one of the top collectors in the world of high-grade comics, Golden Age. He's such a specialist. He knows pedigrees better than I do, I think.
And what was his name? I'm sorry, Steve.
But
what was his name again? I'm sorry.
Steffen. West Steffen.
Okay.
Yeah, he's an Overstreet advisor. So if you go to the the Hall of Shame in the back of the Overstreet, all our pictures are.
Yeah, that's funny.
You'll see him along with me.
That's great.
So after I finish finalizing it, it goes to encapsulation, where they fit it into the interior well, which is made of PTEG. It's used by the Library of Congress. It's funny, our competitor is now using the same product after saying that ours wasn't very good. But ours was really crystal clear and good for the book. You don't need that micro chamber paper.
Okay.
Because PETG actually breathes. So anyway, it goes into the inner well, gets sealed, and then the labels get printed up. Label and outer case get put on, goes for quality check, then goes to shipping and or pickup, of course. And that's basically the encapsulation process in a very small nutshell.
Very nice. Well, thank you. So, with all the cons that go on throughout the year, how do you guys address being overwhelmed with surges of submissions?
Overwhelmed with what?
Surges of submissions. So, you're at like San Diego Comic-Con, you guys are going to get blasted with, people coming in to submit books. And then, another show a week later, you're going to get blasted again with a bunch of submissions. How do you guys handle that?
Yeah. Well, the FTC, he calls me on a Saturday and I'm working. So I put in a lot of hours, but you also don't want to burn out and you don't want to burn your eyes out. So we make our people take breaks, whether they want to or not. It's very important to clear your eyes.
Yeah.
By being overwhelmed, sometimes we fall behind. I mean, we're at 4 to 6 week turnaround time now, which is fantastic. But there was a point where we were at a 6-month turnaround time.
Wow.
We don't just throw bodies at books to get them graded. Make sure we hire the best. So when we're inundated and let's say we lose a grader or we're in need of a grader, it slows everything down. We've been very blessed that the comic community loves us, or some of the comic community loves us, I should say. I'm going to go out on a limb and tell you there's probably people who dislike us. They like our competitor or they don't like grading or whatever. Mm-hmm. But basically, like I said, we won't throw bodies at books. We make sure, so if I have to work till 1 o'clock in the morning, I come home and I take a 2-hour nap and then get back and work till 2 in the morning.
Wow.
But you're playing with comic books. It's great. It's such a cool thing. But also, like I said, we had a bunch of drawbacks when we started. The second batch of plastic we got in for the inner well was not PETG. It was recycled PETG. We had to tell people not to send in books, and if they did send in books, we'd give a 30% discount. So we were shut down for a while. It cost us about $200,000. As a new company, that's just a huge hit to take.
I remember when you guys had to do
we had
that.
a hurricane in Florida.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
And we were shut down for over a week. We had to move from Florida to Dallas, where we were shut down for basically 2 weeks.
I was waiting for books during that time.
I think we all were.
Yeah. But we somehow we just keep landing on our feet. We work really hard. We love what we do. Great group of people that I work with. Fantastic. I mean, we all go out together at times and talk comics all the time.
Oh, that's got to be like a great
fun
environment to work in. Yeah. So Steve,
it really is, because you don't get off of work and go talk about like which keyboard you fixed today.
Not usually.
Right.
So Steve, we know that there's always human error in everything. So when you guys do
Absolutely.
tend to come across books that were graded, like there's an error on them or some type of issue with the book, how do you guys respond to situations like that?
Well, if it's our fault, we fix it.
Okay.
I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, if you want the trust of the community, you got to do right by them.
Right.
I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, I believe that in this world, you do right by anybody, regardless of what hobby they're in or whatever. But especially in business, your handshake is everything. So if let's say I'm, grading a book and some of those 12-cent DCs have really fragile paper at the staples, and let's say I pop the staple, we actually call the people and tell them, and that's why we have them put down a fair market value insurance on it.
Oh, wow.
So we can either find them another copy or give them credit or whatever it is, however it should work out. People who work with us know that you don't get fired for making a mistake. You get fired for not telling us about it so we can tell the client. Dealers don't, most of them don't care. Just credit my account, collectors really care.
Yeah.
They would like the replacement copy if we can find it. Sometimes it could take 6 months to find.
Yeah, as a collector, I kind of understand that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So do I. That's the thing. Like I said, I'm hobbyist first. Business is second. If this was going to hurt the hobby, I'd leave it in a minute. I really, truly believe that. Because I want to have fun in it. I'm getting older. I'm 56, but I'm hoping when I'm 76, I'm still going through boxes of comic books, or portfolios of artwork, or reading, the newest trade.
We're going to force you into retirement by then, though, Steve.
So, Steve, do you
My
guys?
eyes will probably force me into retirement before anybody else does.
So, Steve, do you guys ever have people call you to challenge grades that were given on books?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's going to happen all the time. We had when I was working at our competition, we got a real chuckle out of this. Mark Haskell, great collector. Actually, he's now part of What A Games, the video grading service.
Okay.
Great guy, one of my best friends. Probably maybe one of the 10 most knowledgeable people in comic books today. About the minutia of every golden age weird book. I mean, he's great. But when we were working for the competition, back in the day, somebody called up and said that they're really unhappy. They cracked out a book and they would like us to reholder it. And we said, well, we don't reholder books that are cracked out. They have to go back through grading because we don't know if it was tampered with after it was cracked out.
Right.
Mm-hmm. We don't know if it's the same book. We don't know if the guy put a tear in the book and now it's a lower grade. Right. But then he starts telling us that the book, we graded a 1.5 or 1.8. It was pretty low. And he said to us that he walked around the convention and showed it to other dealers, and they all agreed that it looked really good. But then he said when he opened it up, he agreed with our grade. And he was angry with us because he agreed with the grade, but it looked better in the holder. Take care of this mistake that he made, because it's really our mistake. We should have put something on the holder that says, looks much better.
That's where the check mark came from, doesn't it?
And that's where the check mark came from. I always tell people, check the notes before you decide what you think the grade should have really been. Because some books display so well in the holder, and then on the opposite, though, some books don't display as well.
Right.
I might give something a 3.0 that y'all might think looks like a 2.0 or 2.5. It's going to happen, right? So we're a visual medium, and like I said, the art part of grading goes into that, not just science.
Right.
But yes, we do have people who are very unhappy that they got back a 9.6 instead of a 9.8 on a modern book. One of the craziest excuses I've ever heard was, this should be a 9.8. And I said, well, no, if you read the notes, it's got, 3 spine stresses that break color. And he says, yeah, but I can't sell it as a 9.6. Well, once again, not my problem.
Wow.
Go back in time before those color breaks
Right.
happened.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of along
Sure,
with the whole
sure.
submission thing, do you guys have anything that would, like, I guess, kind of stop you from grading a book, where you look at it and say you can't grade this?
Well, there was back in the
Great
day.
question, Matt.
When I say back in the day, I'm talking about probably 2004 or so. There were these museum editions put out by J and Company, and they would attach this really cool cardboard type cover to a comic book and call it museum edition. And they weren't hiding anything. And they said they made them. This is what they did, and they were selling them. I guess they had a license with Marvel or whoever. And because the cover was hard and too tall and too it was not just tall. It was
Oddly shaped.
like a quarter of an inch. It was a quarter of an inch on top and a quarter of an inch on the bottom, longer than the comic book. So if somebody dropped the case, or dropped a box of books, whatever, that cover could come off. So we wouldn't grade those. There's somebody who reprinted did a print of a really cool cover and pasted it to a comic book and said, well, I want this listed as Spider-Man 238 or whatever it was, right? And we said no, because it covers up the entire cover, and you just put this gigantic piece of paper on it and covered up the cover. We don't want people fooled into ever thinking that that's a variant.
Right.
There's always exceptions on why I wouldn't grade a book.
And is there
Also,
ever
if
any
it's too
content?
brittle, if
Oh,
it's way,
go ahead.
sorry. Well, actually, the outer content, if it's porn, basically, we don't do it.
Okay.
Our competition, I think, does. But if there's, don't get me wrong, if there's naked people on the cover, who's to say what's art and what's not art, right? But we don't worry about that. But if there's a scene that, you'd be embarrassed to show your mother, we don't put it on.
Okay.
We just won't do the book. We want to be more of a hobby, family friendly. We want the kids to see comic books in our holders.
Right. Fair enough.
And I don't want parents hiding kids from seeing comic books in our holders.
That's great.
We also don't do magazines. The magazine holder, the tooling costs and everything would be about $60,000 to do. And then you'd have to hire an expert on comic book magazines, Warrens, like the Creepies and Eries and stuff like that. And so that's a real big expense. And these days, there's so few magazine comic books left to grade. I mean, a couple of years ago, right, or more than a couple, but Star-Lord, boom, blew up.
Right.
So the first Star-Lords were in magazine.
And Rocky
those were worth
Raccoon
great.
too, right?
Right, Rocket Raccoon, yes, exactly. And but at the end of the day, we can do autographed comic books, but we put it into a Beckett holder without a grade, just to authenticate the autograph for people. Because people just want their autographs authenticated. And so we have a great relationship with BAS, the top autograph service in the country, basically. So they do sports and movies and now comic books. They're fantastic. So we're the only company that offers autograph certification that has not been witnessed. We get a lot of fakes, a lot of Bob Kane fakes, a lot of Jack Kirby fakes, a lot of Stan Lee fakes, and a lot of Stan Lees that, towards the end of his life when he shouldn't be signing, we can't pass because it just became a scribble.
Right.
So anybody could do it, and we're not going to risk our reputation just because somebody says, "Well, I saw Stan sign that." Well, I could say that I saw, Trump sign the newest Trump comic, right? And it doesn't matter if I saw it or not. It's, it has to pass authentication. But
Interesting.
sorry, that came to my mind because we just did this crazy comic book about Trump. It was very weird. And we are the only people that in our holder have a sitting president's signature. Obama actually signed the
the Spidey
Spider-Man Obama comic.
The 583.
Yeah, that was really cool.
That's awesome.
That was great.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my best friends grew up with Senator John Tester, and Senator John Tester was the witness for that.
Awesome.
So what books are you seeing submitted the most these days?
Oh, modern is always going to be king, no matter where you are, whether it's coins, sports cards, comics. We see so many moderns. Like I told you about the Walking Dead.
The 190,
I took a picture of it
192?
for Instagram because the guy sent in like 150 copies or something. I just took the picture and said, somebody really likes this comic book.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Having a lot of fun on Instagram these days.
Well, we appreciate that you're very interactive there.
Yeah, it's fun. It's great. A book hits my desk. I pull out my phone, take a picture, boom, goes to Instagram and Facebook, and
That's cool.
I get to share it with the world. And I feel like once again, I'm sharing with the community.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
it is a great it is really a great place to do it. Is there a single issue in particular that you guys have noticed, like that kind of stands out to you guys that you've been just seeing a lot of, maybe recently?
Right now, it's we had just seen a flux. The first Annihilus, Fantastic Four Annual 6 or 5. I should know this by heart.
It's number
you guys caught me.
6.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's number 6. I have a copy.
5's the white cover with I see so many books. They all kind of melt together at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever movie or TV show is coming out,
Oh yeah, of course.
boom, it'll hit my desk. I'm seeing more vintage Captain Marvel, Shazam, but Captain Marvel Adventures and Wiz Comics come through that I've ever seen before because of the movie. Ms. Marvel #1, boom, that was hitting my desk like crazy. Everything with Thanos in it, especially, really cool books. Like two of my favorite comic books from that era is Marvel 201 Annual 2 and Avengers Annual 7. It's probably my favorite or second favorite Captain Marvel, Thanos, Warlock kind of thing. I also love the graphic novel Death of Captain Marvel. That kind of blew my mind when it came out. I think that was 1981, I'm guessing.
I used to know stuff like this.
Yeah, we see. Sorry?
I used to know stuff like that. I off the top of my head, I don't remember.
Yeah, it's funny. I can tell you, like, that, the cover of More Fun 62 is the Spectre holding some guy in his hand. Yeah. I have such useless information in my head. It's incredible.
Useless to some, not to us.
Well, right. To us, it's awesome, right? Yeah. But in the real world, it just doesn't seem to count for much.
Depends on who you're running with.
That's all right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but it is cool to know, like this the minutia, like that the first Superboy is More Fun 101, but he's not on the cover. It's really cool. I mean, it's just it's fun to have all this fun facts in your head that you can play around with your friends.
that is cool.
Oh yeah. We do that a lot.
So Steve,
That's cool.
can you explain what a pedigree is, and then talk about some maybe memorable comic pedigrees that you've seen?
You mentioned them
Oh,
before.
sure.
Yeah. Sorry, circling
Sure.
back.
So that's okay. Search whichever way you guys are going to go. I'm just going with the flow tonight.
Yeah, that's cool.
So a pedigree has to have a few things going for it. Okay. The smallest pedigree that's been recognized by the community is the Denvers. The reason is that even though it was a small collection, it was all Golden Age #1s in high grade.
How many books was that?
That's fantastic. But pedigree collection has to be original owner. In other words, bought off the newsstand or nowadays the comic shop, if you will. But, back in my day, when us old people wrote on stones, you had to buy it from the newsstand, or you steal it from the local barber shop, because they had the old issues hanging around. So has to be original owner collection. Has to be high grade. Has to have most of the keys or all of them. Has to be very deep. Like I said, should be 1,000 books or so. Maybe 500. It depends on the pedigree. The first Silver Age pedigree wasn't until late. That was the White Mountains. Jerry Weiss, who I mentioned earlier, found them. They were in the first major Sotheby's auction. I think, if I'm correct, the Fantastic 401 sold for something like, $5,000. And now it's probably worth $250,000 today.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
But, it's crazy. So then there was the Edgar Church Mile High pedigree. The reason they call it the Mile High is Chuck Rosansky found it.
Chuck's the owner of Mile High Comics.
Yes. Sorry. Right. I forget people. Not everybody knows people's names.
It's funny, yeah. Steve, there's one thing I wanted to ask you real quick. When you said that it has to be the original owner, is there a way to verify that for like an entire collection?
In a way, there really is. First of all, you'd find no restoration whatsoever on any of the books, right? But they all have a unique way that they were stored. So once again, going back to the Edgar Church collection, they smell like cedar. They were kept in this basement with cedar walls. They have bright white pages. They have some sun shadows, dust shadows, because remember there's no bags and boards back then, right?
Right.
So they were in piles, and any corner that was sticking out got a dust shadow. But the gloss, it looks like it was printed yesterday.
Wow.
It jumps out at you. Same thing with the San Francisco Tom Riley collection. Tom Riley story was that I don't know how true the story is, so I'm not going to go into it. But the gist of it was that after this gentleman died, his parents locked up the room, and all of his comics just sat there for years upon years upon years upon years until it was bought. And once again, brilliant white pages, sharp corners, wonderful gloss. Most of them have a stamp that says Tom Riley on the back of it, which is kind of cool. He stamped his books.
Huh.
It's light, it's small, but it's really cool. And, I speak to people all the time who hate arrival dates or markings on books, and I love the coded
It's a little history to it.
because they have a code on them. I love the Tom Riley stamps. I think it's fantastic. On the Cosmic Airplanes, I love the little check mark.
Now, those stamps, do they count against the grade of a book?
No, not with the pedigree.
I thought so. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So it's not going to get a 9.9 or a 10.
Okay.
But it can still get a 9.8.
Huh.
Gotcha.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Very cool.
Yeah, there's only, I think, one church copy out there that's a 9.9. I think it's a Zip Comics number 7.
Wow.
It wasn't coded, just gorgeous. It's just fantastic.
Wow.
I've been very blessed to see, almost all these books come across my desk.
Yeah.
Whether it was in 2002 with our competitor or now, but it's and I've known the top collectors. John Virgil, who just passed, a year ago now, was one of my best friends, and he had the best timely church collection in the world. All the moral mysteries and Captain America's, torches.
That's just wild. That's wild.
Mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Mind-boggling.
So, Steve, I've heard through the comic book grapevine that you've seen the church copy of Action Comics #1. Is that true?
Yes. Yeah, actually, I was the last person to ever see it before it was put away for good. My friend decided not to show it off anymore and stuff. It is spectacular. I mean,
we've heard rumors.
It was kind of like, when the knights finally find the Holy Grail, and it shines. It was like that was kind of going off in my head. Like wow, all these rays coming off the book didn't really happen.
Do you believe that it's the highest graded copy out there?
Oh, I'm going to guarantee it.
Wow.
And I usually don't guarantee anything when it comes to grading.
That says volumes.
And it's stored away. You're saying, huh?
Great.
And it's stored away. You're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a shame. That's a shame.
Never been graded.
Wow.
Huh.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, Steve,
jumping into the future now.
Yeah, jumping into the future. So, JJ here, Jim. I read a lot of digital copies, comics. Do you see digital comics hurting the grading industry at all? I mean,
now or in the future?
Now in the future?
Well, I mean, if everything goes digital, then of course it's going to hurt it. But as long as there's floppies around, it's not going to hurt it. I think it's just another way of people doing stuff. One of the strangest phenomenons I've seen lately is that records have come back.
Oh yeah, I'm collecting those.
Got a lot of those.
It's funny.
I grew up on records, right?
Yep.
But then the cassette tape was really cool, and then CDs didn't pop and skip. But now everybody wants vinyl.
Well, the rumor's always been that they sound
great.
the best, right? Is that the truth of the matter?
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Is that what?
No, I was just saying, is that the truth of the matter? Because they supposedly sound the best. And
Vinyl sounds better than
anything.
tape.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of music. I mean, that's my second love, and I'll tell you, there's a slight warmth to the vinyl, but I don't listen to vinyl, so it can't be that big of a difference.
Yeah,
I love collecting the vinyls, just the big packaging and everything.
I think.
Yeah, the packaging on vinyl is the best, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nostalgic.
I mean, because it was big, you had the lyrics, you had posters. Heck, in Cheech and Chong's Big Bamboo, they put in a giant piece of rolling paper. I mean,
There you go. That's great.
So Steve, you're kind of unique in that you've seen books from like every era of comics. Everything comes across your desk. Everything comes across your table. Like you've seen everything from the 30s and earlier to Walking Dead that came out 3 weeks ago. So
yeah, I've seen things from the 1800s.
What?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's Yellow Kid, all this kind of stuff. Palmer Cox Brownies were the first comic characters. They weren't in comic books, but they were the first characters. They were used for children's blocks and things like that. There's a whole history that it's a shame that the Jeffy Museum closed down, the Entertainment Museum, because when you walked through it, it started with Palmer Cox Brownies, and you understood why kids gravitated towards characters. It's fantastic. So anyway, I've seen the oldest books in existence and the newest books in existence. So the question was that I derailed.
No, it's totally fine. I didn't realize you'd seen stuff in the 1800s. So like with that in mind, and with comic history in mind for some people, like knowing the shifts in the ages per se, like what would you see as some of the biggest shifts in comics that people wouldn't necessarily think of? Like things you've seen change, things you see that are different from 1 year to the next.
I don't think it is always 1 year to the next so much. I mean, don't get me wrong, in the early 80s when it changed to Baxter paper, the Teen Titans
yes.
and Omega Men and things like that, that was a very big change. I happen to like newsprint as opposed to the Baxter paper. It seemed loud to me, the inks, not the inks, the colors.
They're glossier and kind of like brighter.
Yeah, it was different, and maybe we as humans we don't love change.
Yeah, very
right?
true.
So,
It's in our nature.
but at the same time, trade graphic novels were a big change for us. But I think changes are slow in our hobby. When I was a kid and I was buying, like I mentioned, the Tales of Suspense 57.
Yep.
And I was spending, $3 or whatever it was.
Our friend Jeff would be so jealous.
And so the older guys would say to me, no, you're buying the wrong stuff. If you're going to invest in faucets. Right. And at the time, Wiz number 2, which is really Captain Marvel Adventures 1, right, was the number 1 book in the price guide. Sold for the most money. Now it's, at one point, I don't even think it was at number 10, it's, the changes are slow, but you can watch them. They're steady. I don't think that answered your question, though.
No, it kind of is, I think.
That's okay.
Okay. I'm not the brightest bulb in the pack, so I really try very hard on these interviews.
No,
Sorry.
stop. No, it's
fantastic.
It was kind of an out there question. It's all good.
So, Steve,
Cool.
coming through the doors, books that people submit for grading, is there any books that I guess I'd say, what are the books that you've seen the least of, and is there anything you haven't seen yet?
And you hope to see?
It's funny. I don't think there's a comic that I know I haven't seen.
Are you still surprised when things come in sometimes?
But we opened up the foreign market, and the foreign comics are really cool. Like Superman 1 from South Africa is, I think, the cover of Action 168 because of the year it came out. It's really cool. Foreign comic books are really neat, really cool. We have Tim Bildhauser on our staff. He's probably the top foreign expert in the world. And I've seen books I never thought I'd see, from whether it's from Israel or it was from Germany. It doesn't matter. It's fantastic. It's fun because I never saw them before. So for me, that's a real treat. But when we got into Suspense 3, Suspense 3 is one of the greatest covers ever done. Y'all should check it out. It's just a great Schomburg cover. Worst interior I've ever read in my life. When I finally got a copy, I was like, yay, sat down and read it. And I was like, this is terrible. But a collection came in to CBCS.
That is a really nice cover. Wow.
The Magic. Yeah, it is, right?
Yeah, that is
it's
cool.
But somebody came in with a collection, the Magic Woo collection, and I get to the Suspense 3, it's super high grade, and I'm like, this is incredible. And I'm like, this looks like a pedigree. I open up, and boom, on the first page is the Pennsylvania stamp, the date stamp and everything. And I'm like, this is Pennsylvania. This is incredible. Nobody knew where it was. And then we got another collection with a Suspense 3 in high grade. And I'm like, this is insane. And we're like, this is the Mile High. They get church copy.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there. I'm like a kid at Christmas. I mean, it's not my book. I don't own it. I'm not going to see it after the next 10 minutes.
That's funny.
I was like, this is insane.
That's pretty cool.
So, yeah, I get surprised on occasion. And I love seeing certain books. You know, there's books that, you know, we talk about from our childhood or books that we love. And when they hit my desk, I'm just, you know, a big smile just comes on my face. Even if it's a VG copy of Marvel Team Up Annual number 2, I'm like, yay, I love this book. You know?
do you catch yourself? Do you catch yourself reading the book?
You know, if it's a book that I've never seen before, never read before, and it's cool, and it's close to break time, once in a blue moon, yeah, I'll check it out.
That's cool.
Read it really carefully.
You got to count those pages, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I gotta read very slowly.
That's hilarious. So I had a question kind of about like the future of, you know, the grading process in general. Do you see like the encapsulation process evolving in the future, or is there somewhere that you know
I
of
would
now
hope so.
that it's tending to go to?
Yeah, I mean, we have some things in the pipeline that we're changing. We definitely were a game changer. Like I said, our competition followed suit on a bunch of stuff. And if they come up
They
with
say
a great
imitation
idea,
is the best
follow
form of
suit
flattery,
too.
correct?
Well, and it was good for the hobby.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, of
know.
course. Yeah.
And I'm sure that if they come up with something really cool, we would do the same.
Yeah.
And I think all businesses should evolve.
Right.
So imagine if, and especially I think CBCS was very needed. It's one of the reasons I opened it. Was that you need competition.
Right.
Okay. At the time that we opened, our competitor had long turnaround times. They had lost some of the best people, and we came along and kind of made sure prices weren't rising and things like that, because we charge less than they do. Right. Because imagine if Ford was still the only person making cars today. You'd be getting 18 miles to the gallon and you'd be paying $250,000 for a car, and they'd still all be painted black. Right? Competition is fantastic.
Right.
It's great for everybody. But it has to be legitimate competition. It can't be like that other grading service that's out there.
Yeah, no, we'll steer clear of that.
Yeah, I cracked out. Luckily, somebody brought one of their books to our table in New York and said he couldn't sell it in their holder, and asked if we would grade it. He said sure, but we asked him to stay around to crack it out. We cracked it out. It was a Batman 23, and it was missing the center 3 wraps.
Oh my God.
This kid was devastated. I said, well, do you know who you bought it from? You know, maybe you can return it. And, he said, no, the guy's not at the convention. I said, well, if you go back to, your local dealer, whoever you bought it from, I forgot who he said he bought it from. So maybe you can get a refund. And the next day he showed up with a pile of books. And I said, oh, you got a refund? He said, nope. He goes, but, I trust you guys, so take them, and you were so honest, we have to be good to each other. And that's why I don't like that other grading service.
Yeah.
I don't think
it's
just a big grab for money at the end of the day.
So question, what would be like your biggest piece of advice for people who like want to get into like grading their books for the first time?
First, learn how to grade a comic book without plastic. Really study the hobby, get to know people who are honest, make friends with the top hobbyists. That's what I did. It helped quite a bit. It didn't stop all the pitfalls.
Sorry,
but
Steve.
it helped.
There's fireworks going on in the background by our area. Apologies. There's a.
Oh, just for me?
Yeah. They're so excited. They're so excited to hear about comic grading information.
Wow.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, hopefully everybody heard that advice, even though we didn't.
Yeah, no. You should learn how to. And first of all, you should count the pages of a comic book.
Yes.
I feel like that
Right.
goes
If you're not sure
over
the
people's
page-
heads so much.
Sorry?
I feel like people don't think of that like as often as they
I
should.
don't.
Right.
I've never done
Exactly.
it.
You never do?
I never do. You know, up until recently, I started doing it, but no, for the longest time, I didn't. I just bought the book. That was it.
I just only buy from
I-
reputable people who I asked if they counted them beforehand.
Yeah, you know what? Still count them. The page counts are
Yeah.
strange on certain
No,
books.
yeah.
And they don't know if a page is missing or not.
Yeah, it's true.
You know,
Yeah, that's
become experts.
That's a good piece of,
You know, I mean-
and that's what we've kind of tried to do ourselves as collectors. You know, we've had people who who've been looking at books, doing comic books for a long time, and we try to get as much information, kind of like sponge it up, and apply it to our collecting.
Yeah.
Sure. And and even if you wanted to, take a comic book that is, let's say, mid to high grade, like a 7.5, right? That you think is a 7.5. And bring it around to a major con. I think you guys are just at Eternal Con or getting ready for Eternal Con.
Yes.
Yeah, we were there
That's
today.
happening already?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, to the Instagram posts, right. And you can take it around to a dealer and say, hey, I just bought this. Can you do me a favor and give me a grade on this? And you might find out that some people are grading it a 6, some people are grading it an 8, and some people are grading it a 7.5. And, if it's in the strike zone and, people are grading it 7, 7.5, 8, and you grade it a 7.5, you're doing all right.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with professional grading. We have to be in the strike zone. If you guys send in a 7.5, we should be a 7, 7.5, or 8, unless you guys are crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie,
Don't
Steve.
get me wrong. It's gonna happen.
I always used to do pre-grades before I'd send books in when I was working at the shop. And whenever I got the answers back, we'd have there was another guy at the shop and we'd always do grades beforehand. And when they'd come back, we'd see who was closest on all the books. Well, I was half a grade off here, but I was dead on for this one. And I was half a grade under for this one, but I was spot on this one.
Right. But you were in a strike zone.
Oh, almost always. Unless it was something big that I missed.
Cool. Right. And that's why the grader's notes are so important.
Exactly.
Some people like sending a book that looks like it's a 9.6, but it's got a 4-inch chunk missing out of the third page.
Yeah.
They didn't take the time to see it.
There's a tear you
read
didn't
the
see that
comic
you
book,
didn't
they send it
check.
for grading. Boom. Actually, it might not get the check mark. It might actually say, when there's on our label, we'll put, a large piece missing from third story effects page. Sorry, effects story, because we want people to know that they can't read the comic book completely.
Right.
Because reading is what it's all about, right?
That's
At the end
right.
of the day,
That's
it's
right.
always-
Exactly.
So, Steve, you know this, but fun surprise for everyone who's been listening today. We're going to do a free grading giveaway. And I believe that you said it was for a modern book, right? 2 modern books. Is that correct?
2 modern books, not including postage, though. I don't
Right,
want to
correct.
pay,
Shipping
FedEx
not
or
included. And
Right.
so we're
for listeners of your show only,
yes, absolutely. You have to
and-
listen to the episode to know the question.
right? And you guys now get together on how we work out the logistics on getting the books to us. Okay?
Absolutely. So, Steve, we're going to give you 2 questions. You tell us which one you want to answer, and which one you think is going to be the tougher one for you to answer, I guess. Do you either want to do what was the first comic book you ever sold, or what the first comic book you ever graded was? You want to share that?
I have no clue what the first comic I ever graded was.
Okay.
I can tell you the first 10-0 that we ever
that's a good one.
graded.
All right, that's cool. Let's do
Professional
that.
Grading. Okay.
All right. So the
so you
question
wanna ask
is,
your
what
your
is
audience?
the first? Oh, well, no. I'm going to ask you. You're going to give us the answer. And then to know what the answer is, the first person who's going to contact us via Instagram direct message, or if they email us at request@longislandcomicguys.com, first person to send us the answer wins the free grading giveaway. Shipping not included.
Okay. Great. Well, the first book I ever graded, and the graders agreed with me, a 10-0, was back in, I think, 2001. So it was like, when I first started professionally grading, and it was, I'm supposed to tell you now, right?
Yes.
Okay. It was Venom Lethal Protector, #1.
I knew it.
But the black cover variant.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Wow.
That's cool. That's really cool.
All right, so we have the answer now. People out there have the answer. So the first one to contact us via Instagram, by direct message, don't respond in any comments, or emailing us at request@licomicguys.com. First response we get on that wins the giveaway.
That's cool.
Thank you so much for doing that for us,
fun.
Steve.
That's awesome. Yeah, we really appreciate that. Not only for us,
anything
but for
will
our
promote you
listeners.
guys.
Yeah, well,
It'll be
yeah,
great.
thank you. That was really nice of
Yeah.
you.
And is there any additional information you want to give people out there for anything going on with CBCS right now, or you want to just plug different events you guys are going to?
Well, you should go to our site to see the events that we're going to under info and events, of course.
And what's the site name again, just for clarification for
The
everyone?
site is CBCScomics.com.
Great.
We'll plug that in the description.
And I can be followed on Instagram under Steve Borock, SteveBorock. I post, as you guys know, try to post every day, sometimes twice a day, all sorts of cool books that hit my desk. And but we have a lot of stuff in the works in the future. Not sure what I'm allowed to give out because I don't want to give our competition any leads on what we're doing.
And a
Right this
competitive
second.
edge, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But we have some really cool stuff in the works. Like I said, we a few years ago split off Newsstand Direct on the label because people wanted to know, wanted the newsstands because they're tougher to find.
Right.
And that was, another, way of moving the hobby forward. We constantly thinking of different ways of doing it. I just don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet.
Oh no, that's all right.
I think in a few weeks, and if it happens before the next show is recorded, I'll let you guys know, and you guys can announce it there.
Awesome. We
Thank
would
you.
appreciate that. We'll definitely do that.
Okay, cool.
All right, everyone. Well, so this was our interview with Steve Borock, grader extraordinaire for CBCS Comics. And thank you again. So we'll be in contact soon. We're definitely going to want to talk to you again about more stuff. I think we need more time.
Hopefully, we'll see you at some
Definitely,
shows in the
definitely.
future too.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I think you
absolutely.
said you're going to be at Terrificon this year. Is that correct? Are you going to that?
Might be.
Might be. All right, so
I
we might
might
see
be.
you there then.
That would be awesome. That would
All
be
right.
great.
Yeah, we'll definitely hang out.
The other thing I did want to plug was we do have a Facebook page.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, no
'cause
worries.
we offer a lot of information through that, and that's of course CBCS Comics.
All right,
So that would be
simple enough.
our Facebook page.
Nice. We'll link to
Right.
everybody to everything.
Yeah, we're gonna put all that information when we
in the
put it
show
out
notes
there.
and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Great. Well, guys, I really want to thank you very much for spending the time and having me on. It's a real honor.
No, it's an honor to us. You have so much information out there. The education value of this, I think, is just amazing for especially new collectors.
Plus the fact that we can tell
Yeah,
you're so
I hope-
passionate about this
I
stuff.
hope so. I really do hope so. That's great. Well, guys, thank you again, and have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful night.
All right, thank you.
Likewise. Thanks, Steve.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks again to Steve for that awesome interview. Very informative. Just for everyone's information, I
We
know
need to be a little more. That was an awesome interview. I mean, guys, right? That was an awesome interview.
It was an amazing.
I mean,
interview.
to have this guy on our show, I'm going to do this.
I'm
man.
glad you did it.
I'm doing this.
Steve is
This-
awesome.
This guy, it was actually unbelievable to get this guy on
All
our
right, you
show.
do that. I'll be the guy who coughs.
That's
this
fine.
episode.
'Cause usually it's me that's coughing. It was amazing just to get him on our show. I
The amount
know
of knowledge
It
that guy
is
has.
huge. Yeah.
he's huge,
Yeah.
and if anybody's in this hobby, whatever you want to classify it as, I mean, this is
You know who he is.
This is the guy.
Yeah.
And for him to take the time out of his busy schedule, because this guy goes to probably every single show in the damn country, he took the time out to speak with us, and I think it's. I mean, we owe him some gratitude.
He's probably the
Thank you very much.
only person that more knowledgeable than Alan that we've ever
Yeah.
talked to in terms of like comic.
I bet you it would be
knowledge.
interesting to hear them
Oh
talk.
yeah, they would have a great
For like 2 hours.
conversation.
And
This is our kind of like salute to the comic book
Yeah.
collecting world.
Oh, yeah.
This
Yeah,
month.
and Alan knows a lot, so I have to agree with you.
The one thing I did want to say though, for those people out there who don't grade a lot, the company that he was talking about that he kind of said stay away from without saying the name of it, I'm almost 100% positive he was referring to PGX.
Yep.
If you guys are looking to grade, and like I know there's two companies out there. When he referred to his competitor, obviously that was CGC, CBCS. Between us, we both have books graded from both companies.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're both reputable companies. I think
I buy whatever I could get the best
exactly.
price on.
And that's how I do it too. But don't buy anything from PGX. Like he was telling you about the story, they're just not a reputable company, and we just want people out there to be knowledgeable and know what you're buying, and it's not reliable to get books from them. So I just wanted to put that
No,
out
we're
there.
not, and we're not trying to do that as like to knock them. I mean,
No,
even though
we're
it
not.
is knocking them, but we're
it's-
trying. It's people have gotten books from there that are just plain restored and misgraded.
And some people, they haven't gotten burned, but I've heard more burned stories, and I've heard that it turned out well. And aside from that, usually the grades are way off. I'm not even talking to like 8.0s really being 7.0s. I'm talking like 9.0s being like 4.0s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But again, Steve, thank you very
yes.
much for
Hope
coming
to have
on
him
our
back
show.
on.
God, I would love to have him
Yes.
back on.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah, I think soon we're
gonna meet up with him
like
at
you
a show
said,
or
we might
something.
bring that other guy on with him, his one of his partners.
Yes.
And we're going to see him at Terrificon.
Yes, we
So-
will.
He said maybe.
Maybe. Well,
If not, we'll see him at New York
I'm,
Comic
I'm
Con.
being very hopeful.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely see him soon.
He's
within
at
the
New
next
York
couple
every
months.
year, so
And
There we
remember, for the giveaway information, I hope you listened
Yeah.
because the first person to reach out to us, and I know I said earlier only request at licomicguys.com or Instagram at licomicguys.com.
just at LA Comic Guys.
But you can also do at licomicguys at Twitter and Facebook as well.
Yeah, whatever's the easiest way for you guys to reach us.
Yeah, the first person to contact us
earliest
with
timestamp
with the
gets it.
correct answer, the exact correct answer. This is not, we're not going to take close enough. It has to be the exact answer. Okay?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Awesome. Shall we
All right.
move into our next segment?
Yeah, let's close this out with some reviews here.
Yeah. So we're going to start with Spider-Man Far From Home.
All right.
Yeah, so DM, you didn't see this.
All
Nope,
right. So
I
no
did
grade,
not.
no grade from the DM. Did we get
Yeah. We're going to spoil this. Is that okay? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
okay.
go
Okay,
right ahead.
cool.
Yeah, we are going to spoil this. So if you guys
That's
haven't
fine.
seen it, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
by then it's been out for a couple
major
weeks.
spoiler alerts
Yeah.
coming. We didn't get a grade from Bonus Jonas, right?
No.
Did he see it?
I don't know if you saw it.
He's usually long-winded with his grades anyway.
Yeah. You want to start?
No.
So
No?
TC and JJ, we saw this together
Yeah.
last Friday.
Mhm.
You,
I'll-
you might,
Aw,
you
you
might,
guys
you
went
might
out
have
on a date.
You might have seen the posts.
Yeah,
No,
they're
there you
the happy couple.
Were
your wives jealous?
No, I don't think she knew I was gone.
My wife was so happy that I left.
It was a late. I think it was a 10:30 show.
You wanted really? Wow.
It was
Damn.
late.
It actually worked out perfectly in terms
It was
of timing,
fine.
honestly.
It was fine.
Nice. Anyway.
But I liked it. JJ here. I'm gonna say like 8.85.
Is this JJ, by the way?
This is JJ, by the
Okay.
way.
JJ.
I don't know why I keep doing that.
8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Do I go into my little details?
Let's
on
give
this
grades
thing?
first.
Let's
let's
give
do-
grades and then
okay,
we'll
go for
round
it.
table.
Go for it.
Solid 8.5 from me.
Solid A5 for you?
Yep.
7.5.
And
course.
I figured.
Of course.
I'm
Don't
harsh.
don't even get me started with your grade
I-
on Into the Spider-Verse.
I know I'm. I'll
you
go
see
into
it?
that quickly. Yeah, I found
Go
it.
into
Okay.
that quickly, please.
Oh,
6-0.
I
What?
6-0.
You are the only
the
person
Spider-Verse?
probably in the world.
Really?
Listen, you know what? And
Why?
And you were
Please?
talking this up to me, and the whole time I was seeing the previews, I was like, I know I'm not gonna like it. And the whole reason that I don't think
I know
it's
I bust your
terrible.
chops, but I'm curious. What do you?
I don't think it's
what did
I
you
don't think
actually
it's
not
terrible, but I told you I already knew why I wasn't gonna like it. It's because it's about Miles. I'm not a Miles fan. The book's about Miles. The movie's about Miles. It's not about Peter. Like, they're in it, but it's not about them. The main story is about Miles Morales, and I have nothing against him. He's just not my Spider-Man. And like, it was, I felt like it was geared more towards kids.
If you take all that away,
As a movie?
just as a movie,
I honestly liked the comic book story of that much better. Like, Into the Spider-Verse had like the more. I don't really like Moreland, but it was actually kind of a cool use to bring everyone in, and I like.
I'll go as far as to say
more.
it's my favorite Spider-Man movie.
That's cool, but I didn't think it was that.
I won't go that far.
What's your favorite?
I don't know.
My next
Wait a
one
minute.
after that would be.
Are you talking like animated and live action?
Yep.
Really?
Slightly above Spider-Man 2 for me. Ever so slightly.
I enjoyed it. I really liked it. It's one of those movies I can watch
That
again.
movie's trash, dude.
Spider-Man 2? Oh God.
All right, we're going backwards. We're digressing.
All right,
We're
anyway.
digressing. Let's go.
Go
Let's
to
go.
the,
Let's go back to Far From Home.
Yeah.
All right, we're done with that. So
7.5, and
That's
honestly,
a good grade.
before, and again, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I just told you my Into the Spider-Verse was 6.0, so obviously I liked it a lot more than that. It was.
What was your Homecoming grade?
I
Do you
think
remember?
I'll be honest with you. I probably liked that a little bit better. I don't think I gave one because I don't think we were doing this back
we
then.
weren't. No.
I might give that one an 8.
Ooh, see, I went the other way on that one.
You know why? It's because Michael Keaton, I think. So before that first ending credit scene, so big spoiler alert here again. What's his name?
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons returns as J. Jonah Jameson. It was a 7 before that. That scene brought it to a 7.5 for me.
First of all, that scene, like just what that scene did, that's more than we've seen in a cutscene, I think, before from MCU.
The cutscenes were fantastic. Both cutscenes. So by the way, there's the first cutscene, which is the J.K. Simmons,
where he basically
J. Jonah Jameson.
reveals Peter's
he
identity.
outs him as Spider-Man because whatever information is given from Mysterio.
I lost my
And
mind
then-
when I saw him.
And then the final one was great too. Like these
Yeah.
weren't like sitting around eating shawarma. These were like next level whatever trailers or.
Yeah, we'll get into that specifics later. But so your overall opinion of the movie?
It's just like I enjoyed it. It just seemed like there was something missing, and I can't put my finger on it.
Was there anything specific you didn't like, or just something you felt was missing?
No, it was just like it didn't feel like a Marvel movie to some degree. I got a very Sony feel from it at certain points.
Yeah,
Agree with
And
you
it was
there.
just like I don't know. It didn't seem as fluid as some of the other Marvel movies.
You could definitely tell it wasn't a typical Marvel.
I'll tell you my
I
absolute.
liked that though. I'm sick of hearing about
It was different.
Thanos. You know,
Yeah.
No, but that's not what my issue was. I
Oh, what do
just
you mean?
felt like the flow that those movies normally have is a lot better. I felt like there was some of it was a little choppy. I don't know.
Okay.
Like some transitions were a little. I don't know. It just didn't. I don't really have a good description. Some of it
Something
just
was
didn't
off.
feel right. Yeah. Again, like Mysterio, I liked some of it. I didn't like all of him. The best scene in that entire movie, that first time he hits him with all those illusions, where like you see like Tony Stark as like half dead. That scene where he whoops him like right before he gets slammed by that train, best part of the movie. Best
Agree.
scene in the movie. Me and JJ talked about this too. I like Mary Jane better in this movie.
Her name is not Mary Jane, sir.
MJ. You're right. She's not.
I really liked her in this
They're
one.
never going to bring a real Mary Jane into it, but I liked her better. Again, yeah, I liked her better too.
Agreed.
She was just not given enough in the last movie.
In the first one,
You know,
Yeah, it wasn't really.
She
this one
seems
she was
like a
given
dead
depth.
fish.
Yeah, she was given depth. She was given character development,
Yeah.
which was great.
Yeah.
Like I wanted her to
And-
be good.
I didn't like Nick?
Ned.
I didn't like Ned.
Yeah, Ned was a little
Ned
annoying in
seemed-
this.
That was my only downside. Like
He
major
seemed
downside.
old to
I
me.
don't
He
like
seemed
him.
more of an adult than he did a kid. And when you looked at him, he looked like an adult. Like
Just any scene. Like I love the humor in this movie. I thought it was did the humor.
I
very
thought
well.
the teachers were great.
Oh my god, Martin Starr. I don't remember
Martin
who he
Starr
plays.
and JB Smoove. They were really funny.
know.
They were a good
Little
like yin yang
comic relief
combo,
there.
Yeah.
But anytime Ned came on the screen, I just felt like it took me out of the movie. Like it just
Yeah.
felt out of place.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know.
I agree with you,
I don't know
man.
why.
some of those scenes with him in it, it bothered me. It just you
And-
saw right through him.
And it was actually also my least favorite appearance by Fury, and I know he's not Fury, so that's kind
That
of
was my thing. During the whole movie, I was like, something doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I didn't pick that up.
You know, when he says
Certain words.
MFer?
no, when he says "bitch, please," you're an Avenger or whatever.
Yeah.
You've been to space.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, that is not something Nick Fury would say at all.
You see, he probably would have,
I don't.
but it was other scenes. I don't know. So you know who they're saying that other guy was, right?
Which guy?
The Vladimir or Dmitri?
Yes. Who did they say?
Chameleon?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's
Oh, really?
Dmitri. Yeah, Dimitri's the chameleon. So they're saying now, like, oh, are we going to see Kraven next movie? I think it's too early for
His
Kraven.
first appearance. That'd be nice.
Yeah, it's too early for Kraven. It's too early.
So things you guys specifically liked.
I just told you that one
yeah.
scene.
That scene was good.
The
I like the
end-
whole New York scene, the whole coming at the very end. I like that. But
Yeah.
of course, I was
You mean the post credits? The mid credits?
Yeah, post credits.
no.
That was.
Listen,
first
I am so happy
Well,
that
when he had MJ,
That
was that the
first
post game?
credit. Yeah.
Okay.
I am so happy that J.K. Simmons was brought back for this. I could not see
Honestly,
anybody else.
They wouldn't have.
So
Anyone else wouldn't have been.
yeah. So I read an interview with the directors, and they said that they're trying to figure out how to do the post credit scene, and they came up with the idea of like an Alex Jones Infowars type thing, but Daily Bugle, and it wasn't even a question. They were like, we got to get J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad they did that.
yeah.
He's just so perfect for that
He's the
role.
first actor who's played a character outside of this universe that's reprised the role.
Really?
Yeah, first
I did
actor,
not
yeah.
know that.
They've never brought in like the same actor to play the same character from another set
Interesting.
of movies.
And I realized today that he played Commissioner Gordon in Justice League. So it's
Yes, he did.
interesting
Yeah.
to see both. He's played both sides.
Have you guys
now.
seen Whiplash?
No.
You guys should watch it. It's really good. He won an Oscar for that.
Okay. Sure.
Probably not.
Get me more pictures.
Wow.
So, what is your take on the last scene in that
Sword.
sword?
Yeah.
Yep. I have that first appearance.
I don't know. I'd like to see where it's going. It should be interesting. I hope this just steers away from Captain Marvel.
She was brought up in it.
Was she?
She was.
Yeah. She's like,
Yeah.
but that was weird. It's like, don't even mention her name. And
Yeah.
again, that wasn't Fury. But
That
like,
wasn't Fury.
I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
What that meant.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
there's something else I wanted to say specifically about this movie.
I think Happy is criminally underrated, and I'm so happy that he got more time in this.
He's great. I've seen him in so many things. And
criminally
again,
underused. I'm
Again,
sorry.
since you're saying you brought up Whiplash as a movie that no one cares about, I'll bring up a movie that also no one's going to care about who's listening. I think it's a Netflix movie, Chef, that he's in.
That was an
Starring in.
awesome movie.
That was a great
Oh my
movie.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've always liked his character, except for the movie that made him famous, which I think is a crap movie.
Which one?
The one with him and Vince Vaughn.
Oh,
The one in like the 90s. It's so dated.
I'll look it up. Keep talking.
Don't
Don't look it up. Okay.
don't know.
Yeah, so people who are listening are yelling it at our ears right
Yeah.
now that we can't hear them. Yeah.
And Melissa Tomei. Oh,
Yeah.
love her.
I loved that interaction between her and
I would
Happy.
love for her to
was
have said
funny.
one time, my biological clock is ticking.
I don't think you're gonna hear that.
Peter Tingle. I
Yeah.
like
The
that.
Peter Tingle.
I was like, come on. I thought by the end we were going to hear a spider sense. It's like, why can't we just call it like a spider sense?
Yeah.
And like them shooting him down.
I like that
that's
they
a
didn't.
stupid name.
That would be funny. Yeah.
And they're calling the event the blip.
Yeah.
I really liked how they didn't like. I don't know if didn't take it seriously is the right phrase, but they
Made light of it.
made light of the whole Endgame thing,
Listen, to
which I feel like makes this
to
movie
deep
stand
dive
alone.
into
too.
that, it's hard. Like it's the first movie that has to address it.
Right.
I think from that point on, it's gonna be it's gonna start to die out a lot, like the mentioning.
But I'm happy it like stood on its own and not
Yeah.
really on the shoulders, even though there was a heavy influence about Tony's death and everything.
Yeah,
But-
100%. And again, like another thing I really like too is when he's finally building the own suit, and like Happy sees him as like
Yeah.
like how he saw Iron Man doing it, and it was totally intended to be that
Yeah.
way. And he's like, I'll handle the music. It's like, I love Led Zeppelin. It's like, well, that's actually ACDC.
So the beginning was hysterical with the whole Whitney Houston. It opened up with Whitney Houston.
That was funny.
and
Like
it
that.
just turned into this whole memorial, but it was done with the school kids, and it was
And-
actually quite funny.
And they're assuming that Cap's gone, by the way.
I saw that
Yeah.
they put him in that.
So Cap, in everyone's eyes, is no more.
Yeah.
That's true.
Very interesting.
Good stuff. I mean, it was a good movie.
Marvel's spending a lot of money on songs to put in these movies.
Well, AC/DC's making out in the deal.
AC/DC. Whitney Houston is expensive.
Well, she's dead.
Immigrant Song from Thor Ragnarok cost $1 million. Just to have that in the movie. It's crazy.
AC/DC's making out.
Oh yeah.
Good stuff.
It's okay if they make like $1 billion. It's fine.
Yeah.
So where do we see the next? Where do we see coming up after this?
What is supposed to be coming up next?
Do you want to talk about the rumor you heard?
So I heard a rumor. I don't know how much of this holds weight. I also heard that if this movie doesn't make $1 billion, you shared this with us.
Yes.
That it might go back to Sony.
It's in the contract that if this movie doesn't break $1 billion, the rights revert back to Sony.
What?
Disney can't make any more movies with him. But it's made $600 million in a week. It's gonna make it.
So
That seems weird.
But I think the next movie's already set up. Their third.
So he's contractually
making one more.
He's signed for one more movie.
Yeah.
He was signed for 3 Spider-Man movies and then 3 appearances in other movies in the universe.
Yeah.
So he's already hit the other 3.
So the rumor I heard, and again I don't know how true this is. I heard it on the social medias. Is that he signed up for 9 total solo movies. So one more after. So the way they're saying is it's gonna be 3 high school, 3 college, 3 adulthood trilogies. I mean, the thing is, he's young enough to do it. And listen, I was like, why wouldn't he?
Why wouldn't
Yeah.
Is again, like, how many of us really enjoyed Brie Larson? I mean, they need somebody to kind of take this over. And it seemed like they were, like, at least
He's
from
the one.
Fury's perspective, like, they're kind of grooming him. I was like, listen, I think they're going to push Spider-Man, and they're like, listen, what if Wolverine doesn't work out?
Yeah.
I think Wolverine
might not accept a
Wolverine and
different
Spider-Man, you can come at me with any other character you want. Before any movie came out, 2 most popular characters in the Marvel universe of comic books.
I agree.
They're the most interesting. They're the ones that have most fans. They're DC's Batman and Superman in terms of popularity. Not,
you're right.
Not the character type.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Okay.
mean, that's just my opinion.
Where do you see Tom Holland along with in comparison to Maguire and Andrew Garfield?
So I've said this a bunch of times. I think he's a good balance of both Peter Parker and Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I think that my favorite Spider-Man was Garfield. I liked him as Spider-Man the best. Honestly, I was just watching some of Spider-Man 3. I really don't like Tobey Maguire at all.
Well, 3's not a good movie.
Yeah, I know, but like just like him doing it, it seemed like I don't like.
It's just weird. I don't know.
I mean, he's much better Peter Parker than he is Spider-Man.
Oh,
He's a terrible Spider-Man.
I still think Colin's the best Peter Parker.
Probably, yeah. I'll agree with you, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because I always say Garfield was like too cool to be Peter Parker.
yeah, 100%.
You know.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but we're spending a lot of time on this. We need to move on.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. No, because the length of the episode.
We got to move on.
Yeah.
Okay.
We could talk about Spider-Man for like 3
fine.
hours.
Yeah,
we can do
we
a whole
could.
Spider-Man. I mean, we did a Batman one. We should do a Spider-Man episode.
We should do a
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that.
Yeah. It's coming soon to a podcast near you.
The Don't Feed the Geeks podcast.
Hours.
All right, move on.
All
So
Stranger Things 3. I think
watched it
just
in 2
me
days.
and Toy Story watched.
I
I
didn't
watched
watch it.
it with the wife. And
I haven't started it yet.
Oh, I thought you did. Okay.
No.
And my wife's sister, is that my sister-in-law? My
Sister-in-law.
wife's sister is related to me because it's
Your sister-in-law.
That would be your sister-in-law.
I'm
Yes.
kidding.
So
Yeah,
Jim, we
Stranger
can't spoil
Things
for you,
3.
can we?
I don't care.
You don't
Yeah.
care? Okay.
Yeah,
I probably won't even watch it.
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, he didn't see
Wow.
season 2, so
I love it all. My favorite's season 1 still, but this was very good.
Yes, I agree. I do like season 1 the best. It's weird to see how old the kids are now. Especially there was a scene where they showed them like as a young, like how they were in season 1. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that wasn't even that long ago.
yeah,
No.
I was gonna ask you how weird is
Yeah.
it now that they're like in
It's
what are
not-
they in high school?
No, they're still
No.
in like grade school.
Yeah, but the thing I like, they're not hiding their age.
No.
And they're handling growing up very well. Like I always use Modern Family. Do you watch Modern Family?
I do like not.
So
not
the kids,
continuously.
the kids in that movie were really funny when they were
Yeah.
kids, but like the show's still on and they're a lot older and they're
it's
just
not on anymore.
or it was.
I think it just ended recently. Yeah.
Okay, whatever. But they got older and they're just like they didn't handle their age well at all. They're just not, they're awkward and weird. But like this, you feel like it's natural.
Yeah, no,
their
I
ages.
agree with you. And they're going into like more adult situations too,
Yeah.
and they're handling those. I like the whole thing with the Russians. That was cool. That was a wrinkle I didn't see coming.
Mhm.
I do like Dusty and is it Steve?
Dustin?
Steve with the hair? Dustin. But
Yeah,
they call him
Steve.
Dusty, don't they?
I think he calls him that.
Yeah.
Their relationship is
they have great chemistry together.
Oh
and
my
then the
God.
other girl too. So I didn't know that the other girl
How
is
many children are you friends with?
yeah that other girl is Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman's daughter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Her my sister-in-law tagged us in that. I was like, oh wow. I was like, that's interesting.
Wow.
But
Their whole dynamic was awesome.
yeah, like that group, like it was annoying me for so long that everyone was apart.
Yeah.
At one point, it's like, why don't they just call Hopper? Like,
Yeah.
why aren't they why aren't they all together facing this problem? But like, like everyone's like side story worked out well.
Yeah.
It was good. I didn't hate that other guy as much this time, even though he was purposely being taken over. Like Max's brother, what was his name?
Oh, Billy.
Billy. Yeah, I actually like Billy better.
Yeah, he
this
did a
season.
fantastic job.
He did a great job. 11 as always is awesome. The two kids that still I could do without are Mike and who's the other one who was like possessed in the first 2 seasons?
Oh, Will?
Yeah, but Mike and Will, I'm just like, I can't with these kids. I was like, they need to get rid of those. I hope those are wigs that they're wearing. Like they just look so weird.
His hair looked kind of weird.
But yeah, I mean, spoiler alert, Elle loses her powers.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure
That's going to be real interesting to see next season.
So let me ask your opinion. So I was assuming that whatever, like the fertilizer and chemicals that he was ingesting was to try and steal her powers away.
I didn't see it as him trying to you're talking about the Mind Flayer, right?
Yeah.
I didn't see it as him trying to take her powers. I saw it as him trying to destroy her because she was the only one who could stop him.
See, I saw it 2 ways. So initially, I thought he wanted her to control her too, and then he'd have access to her powers.
That's true.
But
Maybe.
then I saw, I was like, well, maybe he was taking all that stuff to like nullify her powers.
Maybe.
But it was weird.
I don't know.
I'm
It
curious.
wasn't very clear.
I mean, for sure, like they're gonna do another season.
Oh, yeah.
So Hopper,
He's
that-
alive.
alive, right? He's the
100%
American they referring to in like that
He's got
post-credit scene that they apparently did. I hope he's alive. He's awesome.
Yeah. Him and Joyce together, Winona Ryder.
She's another one who I'm
You don't like her? I really like her in the show.
She's much better. I feel if anything, she's the best. She was the best in this season. I could tolerate her the most in this season. She was so annoying in the first 2. Like again, I
never got
granted,
that.
like I can understand, if you're a parent and like you're searching for your kid,
But it was a little overboard.
but it was just like a little too much.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That last episode though was
It's incredible. Like Paul Reiser coming out as like, who would have
Yeah.
thought Paul Reiser saving the
I
day
know.
here? And then the Russians cleared out.
I know.
I was just like, what was that all about? And they totally stole that one guy. That was a complete rip off of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah, of course. That was totally
I was
intended
like,
though. Come on.
he literally looks like the Terminator. But great show. If you haven't seen it yet, we just spoiled
Yeah.
it for you. And go watch it.
Yeah. Great story,
Yeah, go watch it
engaging.
anyway.
The cast lives up. And I don't feel like there's any lulls in the cast. Like any of them are getting bored.
No, I
Honestly.
don't think so either.
They're just getting better with experience.
Yeah,
especially the kids.
Again, like I don't really like those two. Oh, you know who I didn't care about? I don't really like Nancy.
No?
I can do without Nancy. Nancy and I actually like the other kid much better this season though.
What's his name?
The brother of Will.
Jonathan.
Jonathan, yeah.
Yeah.
I liked him much better.
The guy who got caught with-
Steve, I love Steve. He's awesome. He's such a fun dope. But somehow winds up to save the day every once in a while.
I know.
But all right,
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
pretty
that's
much wrapped
encouraging.
up on that.
I'm excited. To,
I'm
excited to
very
watch
good.
it now.
Have you watched any of them?
Of season 3?
No, have you watched any Stranger Things?
Oh yeah, I saw both season 1 and 2.
Oh,
yeah.
dude.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Yeah,
good.
I loved them probably equally both,
it's-
so I'm excited.
It
for
definitely
season 3.
definitely goes.
What would you
in a
give it
much
out
better
of 10?
8.
I would also go 8.
Yeah.
Nice.
Season 1's
Very
probably
cool.
9 for me, honestly. I love season 1.
I might even go 9 too.
I would too.
Yeah.
A little higher. I'm always iffy to go into the 9s with something.
Yeah.
Because that would mean near perfection, but
Yeah. No, it's there was. Honestly, the only thing that would take it from being a 9.6 season 1 to me is Joyce. She's
fair.
just like intolerable to me.
yeah. Yeah.
All right. So Bruce, do you want to talk about Jessica Jones for 5 seconds?
Sure. Yeah. So
It sucks. Move on.
Yeah. Come on. You didn't even see season 2.
Hey, we
yet,
have to
so you
bleep
can't
that.
talk.
Wait, what
Um,
season is this?
It's season 3.
Oh my
and
god!
It's also
I
the
only watched.
finale.
I only watched season 1.
Yeah. It's the last one because it's canceled along with Luke Cage and Iron Fist and.
Did
all
it wrap
the
up
other
well?
ones. Well, I still got 2 episodes to go.
Gotcha.
So this one, season 1 was good. Season 2,
Season
all right.
2 is
So
awful. You
yeah,
can't even do
Who was the
her-
villain in that?
Her mother.
her mother, and she wasn't even really a villain. I mean, yeah, she was in the villain,
She
but
only
then
killed like 75
towards the
people.
end,
She
yeah,
wasn't a villain.
yeah, I know, but season 3 seems to be more, Jessica is trying to be the hero and not just trying to get by.
Who's the villain in this one? You don't know yet?
No, you know he's
By the last 2 episodes, you don't know yet.
He's some sort of psychotic. He's a serial killer, and
Does he have powers?
No,
No?
he doesn't, which is really bizarre. But he's like super smart. He's got like 6 degrees, across the spectrum, and he's like playing mind games with Jessica and everybody else. Not like Kilgrave in season 1.
Yeah.
But
Does the other girl have powers? What's the friend?
Trish?
Trish, yeah.
Yes, because in the end of
She's
season 2,
Hellcat
she
now, right?
she was
Does
she
she-
was experimented
Does
on.
she adopt that name?
No,
No, she doesn't.
she
say.
does not.
All right.
But they did pay homage to Hellcat because she did have on the
yellow.
yellow and what's it, yellow and
Black?
purple,
Like yellow and
Yeah.
blue or something.
yeah, yellow and blue or yellow and purple spandex, and she looked in the mirror and she was like, "No way!"
Kind of like Luke Cage looked in the mirror in the car, the reflection.
exactly with his.
Well, that's when he came out of like the prison jail,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, with
that
his
was
yellow
cool.
T-shirt
He-
and the
he
arm
had, like,
manacles.
the,
Yeah, which I thought was really
the
cool.
tiara.
I loved
Um,
those shows for so long. I mean, I haven't watched one since Defenders because that's left such a bad taste
Honestly,
in my mouth.
Yeah.
aside from Jessica Jones season 2,
Was Daredevil season 3 good?
yeah, it was good. It wasn't as good as the other ones, but
Okay.
it was
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
good. Yeah.
I really don't like. I don't know a lot about the Hellcat character, but I did read a few of her comics, and they're portraying her as more of a violent vigilante, killing people, inflicting pain and stuff. And it's like I just didn't see that in the comic.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, maybe
Makes
they want to
sense.
be a little bit different in the TV show, So, but it's better than season 2. It's not great, but I'm just I think they could have done a little bit better.
Okay.
So yeah, if you're a fan, it's like give it a watch because it's over, and who knows if it's gonna be continued on elsewhere.
Cool. All right. TC, you want to talk about Swamp Thing real quick?
Yes, real quick. I know we're running out of time here. So, Swamp Thing, I'm up to date. Well, not for when this episode is. I've watched episodes 5 and 6. Really good. The Phantom Stranger shows up briefly in episode 5. A lot of crazy things happen. I mean, it's really such a good show. Anyone who's not watching it, it's on DC Universe again. It's yet another platform you'd have to pay for unless you figure out another way to watch it. I'm not saying
Get the
for people
trial.
to do that.
Wait till it's finished. Get the trial for a month.
Yeah.
Don't give them money. They're canceling shows.
Yeah. Hopefully it shows up somewhere else, but really good. Ian Ziering, from 90210 Sharknado.
Sharknado.
He just had a pretty big scene where I think he's turning into a character called the Blue Devil. He's from comic books. I don't really know much about him.
I remember those covers for some reason. I don't know why. I never read them.
Excuse me. Yeah, but it's just been fantastic. I like the girl. The guy who's portraying Swamp Thing is awesome. Even the villain, I like him too. Woodrow. There's so many good people in it.
At this point, I'm probably just gonna binge it once it's done.
Yeah, it's
I
probably the best.
I mean,
best
I
season.
watched episode 1. I loved it, but
Yeah.
it just pissed me off so much that they cancel it. I didn't.
I know.
watch too.
I'm with you 100%. And at this point, do we even know what they're going to next?
I have no
Because
idea.
every
Well,
other show.
they're doing Power Work? No, not Power Girl.
But is that going to be ready when this
Star
one's
Girl.
over?
Stargirl? I don't know.
Yeah, because so far they've had another one ready to go.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
All right.
All right, so close out with an announcement.
Yeah.
Go for
So-
it.
Very exciting.
So very, very exciting.
Whoa, I
Officially,
like that.
I like the enthusiasm.
officially announcing
Dun dun
Don't
dun.
Feed the Geeks book club.
What?
It's going to be live on Twitch.
Ta-da!
And we are ready to announce the book. We may have hinted at it before, but it is going to be The Long Halloween.
Awesome book.
We are planning for August 23rd. It's a Friday. It'll probably be an evening, maybe around 8 o'clock-ish time starting. We'll have more details on that. We're going to promote it on social media when we're going to do it. We're going to tell you guys our Twitch information. We might have a few more people, a few close friends will probably be joining us live as well. And we hope you guys do it.
And I'll throw it in Twitch, and we may be able to do this on Facebook also. So
Okay.
it might be a combo
YouTube
deal.
maybe also.
Yeah,
we'll see.
The
Yeah, well, more
device,
details to
the
come.
device
Yeah.
I'm using,
Definitely Twitch.
We should be able to.
Yeah.
If anything, it's going to definitely be Twitch with
Other
Facebook
options.
and other options.
All right,
But if you
cool.
guys want to join us on the live stream, we're gonna have the chat open, so we're gonna have an open discussion about the book.
So if you don't have the book, get it now. Read it by August 23rd, and kind of join in the conversation. The point to do this is to kind of like have a more direct line to interact with our fans.
Yeah.
All 3 or 4 of you. Or
And get
Yeah.
people to read these type of books.
and also
'cause-
gives us a chance to read books maybe we haven't given a chance before.
I read it when I first got into it, and it's probably been almost 5 years since
I read it once a year every
Yeah,
Halloween.
that's awesome.
I really do.
I just finished it a couple
Wait till
months
you
ago.
have a kid.
Yeah. Then I'll read it with the kid and whatnot.
Yeah.
And this could be a monthly thing. So we'll,
Yeah.
we'll, I guess after the first episode, we'll launch the next book.
Maybe we'll have some giveaways. By the way, I don't know if I've said anything about our giveaway yet, but we are doing a giveaway for our 1-year anniversary. It is going to be a book. I haven't figured out which book yet, but I'm going to go down and fish through some
Is it
stuff.
gonna be one of the ones without pictures?
No, I don't have pictures in it. But yeah. So that's it for me on the announcements. You guys have anything
I
else?
think it's good. We're heading to TriffCon in a few weeks. Should be really
we
fun.
will. We're really excited.
Yeah, we're not
for that.
tabling there or anything, but we're going just to hang out for the weekend.
Yeah, we don't have any more plans to table this year at least.
Yeah, next year we
And-
plan to go full speed ahead.
Like
shows.
a rhinestone. No, that's not the right. Sorry, this is my other job.
The less important job.
Yeah. All right, so I guess this is when we say until next time.
Don't feed the geeks!